Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and our online viewers from Yahoo and from Wong. Welcome back to our afternoon session of the ESG for Climate Action's International Conference 2023 Day 2, hosted by World Green Organization in partnership with UNESCAP, Cyberport, FSDC, Hong Kong Exchange, and IFRS. It is our great pleasure to have you all joining our conference again. I am your MC throughout the day, Eunice. This morning, we have invested the topics about green finance and sustainable investment. Moving towards the afternoon session, we will hear more topics about the carbon neutrality technology and innovation. Without further ado, now let's welcome Mr. Tsui, President, Mastercode Film Center Limited on stage. And he will share with us heat reduction and Solarshade technology. A big round of applause and welcome Mr. Tsui.
Thank you. I need remote control. Oh, okay, good. I need to have the remote control. I don't see no page though. Is this the first page? Oh, okay, and I'll go back. Oh, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here. Mastercode Film Center was established 24 years ago and is a professional company mainly in solar energy rejection. I would like to present to you a new solar rejection product, which is Transmission Solarshade. We all love the sun. Sun rays are good. It keeps us warm. We get vitamin D. We get tan and sporty looks. We need the sun. But when you are in the office, the sun can shine through your window glass and affect you and your coworkers from reading the computer screen. The sun rays may be created the greenhouse effect inside your office and raise the office temperature, making it uncomfortable to work in the office. So you put up the curtain or window blind and turn on the air conditioner. The energy bill can be expensive. I suppose you all have great offices. you're willing to pay high price for the office view. Here at Cyberport, the office rent is a lot more expensive with the ocean view than those without. As the sun travels through the day, you may need to put up the window blind for 4 to 5 hours. That can be half of your working hours so that you can read the computer screen and work. This way, you sacrifice your view and enjoyment while you are still paying the expensive rent. Many of you probably have seen the window film applying onto the window glasses before, like automobiles and buildings. We do that. We are a certified company of the International Window Film Association. But applying window films directly onto the glasses may not be the only way, nor the best way, to cut down the sun glare and heat. Here I introduce you to Transvision Solarshade. Don't get me wrong, applying window film directly onto the glass is great. The film can reflect the sun rays, glare, and heat back to the nature. But window film has several drawbacks. Many building managements do not allow the offices to have anything mount onto the outside glasses, especially the curtain wall buildings. Transvision Solarshade can solve the problem. And if the building management allows you to install the window film onto the building glasses, the window film sticks onto the window glasses permanently. Yes, you can enjoy the outside view while the sun is up, but as the sun travels through the day, you will have a difficult time to see the outside after 5 p.m. With Transvision Solarshade, you just roll it up and still enjoy the outside view at night. Transvision Solarshade is in the same family with regular window film, but not identical. The regular window film applies directly onto the auto glass or building glass, and the film is rigid. The structure of the window film has a very thin layer of metal inside the film so that it can cut down the glare and heat from the sun ray. The aluminum inside makes the film look silver color from the outside. The bronze inside the film makes the film look gold color from the outside of the windows. But regular window film is quite rigid. It can be bent or stretched for a short period of time, but not day in and day out for years, or it will be cracked or wrinkled. That is how Transvision Solarshade comes into play. The structure of this shade has special metal, mineral, and rare earth elements in it. The shade has all the benefits of the regular window film, but it's softer and durable. It can be rolled up and down for 20 or plus years. We installed the Transvision Solarshade onto the Hong Kong Airport Control Tower, and they are still using it. The Hong Kong Airport Control Tower is sitting on the runway and is completely exposed under the sun. The international aviation regulations requires all the airport control towers in the world, including Hong Kong Airport, to install Transvision Solarshade before the airport can be operated, so that the aviation controller can see the outside and give instructions to the pilots. The cost to install this shade is low. You probably can get your initial investment of this shade back in just a few years through the savings of your energy bill, both from air conditioning bill in summer and heating bill in winter. This shade installs next to the window glass. It reflects the sun rays, energy, both glare and heat, back to the outside. And the shade creates a gap as air buffer between your office and the glass. In summer, the hot sun cannot intrude your cool office easily. In winter, your office warmth cannot escape to the chill outside easily. The infrared of this office is reflected back inside. This is very obvious in Europe and North America. Let me show you some of the many jobs that we have done. Please play the video. This is the Hong Kong Airport Control Tower. We did for them, and they're still using it. As you see on the right, on the top right-hand side, that the windows with no window shade. So it's very, very bright. And the air controller, they have a hard time to see the computer screens and also radar screens. So now, and also when you try to see the outside, it's not just inside the building, but outside the building, it's very hard for you to see the airplanes because the glare just gets into your eyes. They will blind you. But with the window shade coming down, then you see that there are objects outside. Of course, they're still in construction. So the indoor temperature drops by 8 degrees Celsius. It's quite a drop. So we're talking about 30 degrees Celsius, and then now dropping down to 22 degrees Celsius. To maintain 100% the airport view, easy to open or close at will, because the air control tower is sitting in the middle of the runway. And it all depends on the time of the day. In the morning, the sun will shine in from the east, so you have to drop down the shade. But as time goes by, then the sun will travel to the west, then you have to drop down the shade from the west. Glare reduction enabled using computers and radar screens. Another case study. This is the restaurant in a hotel. On the right-hand side, you can see that it's very, very bright light. All the hotel restaurants, the owners, they would like to have all the tables 100% being occupied. But because of the sun, they kind of turn off. The customers, they wanted to sit next to the window to enjoy the view, but sitting right under the sun, it's just unbearable. With the left-hand side, you see that with the screen, with the shade coming down, it can be dropped down from a very high ceiling. You can see the view outside. And the customers can sit right next to the table, sipping on their coffee, and enjoy the view. The indoor temperature drops by 6 degrees Celsius. To maintain 100% the outdoor view, easy to open or close at will. It all depends on the time of the day. Guests willing to sit next to the window. So if you sit right under the sun, it's just unbearable. Interior privacy in daytime. Sometimes you may see the people pass by the windows, they comb their hair, they use the window as a mirror without knowing that there are people sitting behind the window. Another case. This is the office that we did in Kawa Center. Again, on the top part on the right-hand side, you see that with the glare coming in, very, very hard for you to see the outside. It's just hard to enjoy the harbor view. With the left-hand side, you see that there are 3 layers. We purposely raised up the transmission solar shade in the middle. At the very bottom, the glare is just too bright. That will blind you. In the middle, you can see that the beautiful harbor view. And on the very top, there's the cloth shade. So just in case the people in the conference room, they want to play the PowerPoint or they want to play a video, they just drop down the cloth shade just to make it darker in the room, and they can play the video. Another case. Now, with transmission solar shade that is not just coming in the form to drop from top to bottom. It can be appeared in the form of vertical blind. With the right-hand side, you see that there's very, very bright corner. Very hard to see the harbor view. But with the left, the half of the window is being covered by the transmission solar shade, so you still can enjoy the view. And with the bigger picture, that you can see that the whole window is being covered by the transmission solar shade, and you can enjoy the harbor view. The indoor temperature drops by 5 degrees Celsius. To maintain 100% of the harbor view, easy to open or close at will. Glare reduction enabled using computers and screens. Just imagine that if you are sitting right behind the desk and you're looking at the computer screen with the glare coming into your eyes, it's just very uncomfortable. This is the one that we did for a home. On the left-hand side, sky horizon. Again, we purposely raised up the transmission solar shade so that you can see the difference. The bottom part, very bright, hard to see the outside. The top part, with the transmission solar shade, you can see the harbor view. The indoor temperature drops by 8 degrees Celsius. That's a big drop. Slow down the objects fading near the windows. The sun can bleach the color. The sun can make your carpet and your furniture fading. But with the transmission solar shade dropping down, you can protect your furniture and carpet. Easy to open or close at will. These are the jobs that we did for different offices. For example, the top left, Cyberport 3, that's the office for Federal Express, which is the headquarters for Asia and Africa. Again, we purposely raise up the curtain a little bit so that you can see the difference between without the transmission solar shade and with the transmission solar shade. And there are some other offices on the top part, towards to the right, Cyberport 2, Cyberport 1, gateway buildings. Coming down, Maersk Ocean Liner. We did quite a lot of the government agencies. One in Science Park, Consumer Council, the Trade Development Council in Shanghai. We did several offices for the Trade Development Council. Shanghai is just one of the many, like the one in Guangzhou, in Beijing, we did that too. We still have many job references and experiences. If you'd like to know more, please go to our company website, mastercode.com. Transmission solar shade is innovative and protects the environment. It can be used in different kinds of buildings and can make us more comfortable and healthy. As the world promotes green buildings, ESG, and carbon reduction, I believe transmission solar shade will always be used at our windows. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cherry. Now let's turn our attention to the exploration of sustainable materials and innovative technology, which plays a pivotal role in addressing the expectations of ESG criteria and fostering sustainable practices. Next, please welcome Mr. Kendrick Wong, Director, Nanoshields Technology Limited. He was born and raised in Hong Kong. He co-leads the company's research and development of new innovative materials. Today, he will share with us his topic, which is exploration of sustainable materials and innovative technology to address expectations of ESG.
Okay.
Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Kendrick Wong.
Thank you, members of the World Green Organization, distinguished guests. Thank you for allowing me the time to present today. We live in a world where ESG has become essential to all companies worldwide, Kingsware Development and its subsidiaries such as Nanoshields Technology Limited included. First, a quick introduction of what Kingsware, our company, does. Our company has engaged in the design, engineering, manufacturing, and distribution of both kitchenware and houseware products for over 45 years. Products include the likes of kitchen utensils, gadgets, bakeware, beverageware, food equipment, food storage, accessories. Our operations resides in the continent of North America, Europe, and Asia, and other locations as well. All of our products, both in the development and manufacturing stage, are closely monitored and managed to comply and reach the environmental standards set by the EU and the mainland in terms of materials, manufacturing environment, and processes. Along with the pursuit of achieving the standard of Industry 4.0 in manufacturing, Kingsfair has, in parallel, continued to invest resources into scientific research. This is where NanoShield steps in. One of Hong Kong's strengths is in its academic foundation. 3 of the top 100 universities in the world are situated in Hong Kong. This is an incredibly valuable resource that can help support and accelerate the research and development projects of many different entities. For example, Kingsfair recently reached a cooperation agreement with the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology in establishing a joint lab where both parties will explore new, cutting-edge research and applications in the fields of sustainable technologies, materials, carbon reduction, and reindustrialization. The goal of this collaboration is to develop new technologies to promote sustainable living environments for consumers and address the increasingly serious environmental challenges caused by global climate change. This collaboration will not only benefit the university in Kingsfair, but also help Hong Kong achieve its carbon neutrality goals and the national dual carbon strategic goals. Our partnership with the universities in Hong Kong has allowed us to continue in developing new materials, with much of our resources recently focusing on the development and production of nanofibers. Now, nanofibers are not a new concept, but what our company hopes to achieve is, by investing research into this technology, is to have nanofibers that are able to have functionalities that benefit the consumer's daily life, such as killing bacteria, repelling heavy metals, heat retention, and many more. So then why nanofibers? Markets dictate a lot of the direction of where we decide to dedicate our resources towards. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, we've continued to observe consumers and our clients incorporate the new lifestyle changes that were made during the period, particularly a large focus on health and cleanliness. Nanofibers, which can be used for both air and water filtration applications, is a technology that would help. But further down the line, mass scale-up and functional nanofibers with applications in the medical field and even carbon capture is within the scope of development. Although nanofibers are our focus, plastic material research has been a part of our interests as well. Alternative materials are the ultimate goal in replacing plastics, but it should be not looked as the only feasible path towards sustainability. Plastics in our everyday usage because it has properties that benefit us in our everyday lives, and the costs are relatively low to manufacturing. For our industry, in kitchenware and houseware, these properties, such as the transparency and durability, are the status quo of quality products. For example, we can lessen the total usage of plastics in a product by mixing another material with it while retaining the core properties that conventional plastic products have. In collaboration with Hong Kong universities, we've developed a way to produce a product material with 40% spent coffee grounds, collected from chain coffee shops. This reduces the overall plastic use in manufacturing and the upcycling waste materials. This process took many months, as there were many things to consider, such as the removal of coffee smell in your product, as well as the water usage and the management of wastewater, and many other factors. Another aim that we look to achieve is to significantly extend the life cycle of plastics in our products. The company has set goals to research and develop plastics which add value, and by adding properties to the products, such as making the plastic material itself antibacterial or making super hydrophobic or oleophobic plastics for kitchenware applications. With each new technological advancement of materials that the company has sought to bring to the market, there has also been continued efforts by the company to ensure that the manufacturing process complies with global standards set by both international regulatory bodies and expectations by clients and the market. With our extensive experience in manufacturing, newly developed materials and products go through the same process as with all our other products. This includes proper supply chain management, evaluation, and review. Adopting the best practices for energy management and human resources management. These existing systems and practices will help ensure that any new capabilities of the company, such as our new manufacturing site located in the Advanced Manufacturing Center in Cheongkwano, are compliant. Striving to profit while meeting the needs of the client and the consumers are the basic goals of a company. But as we have seen, the market and the world expects much more. And investments and explorations into new technology and new materials are a necessity to not only comply and help the environmental sustainability, but as we observed, consumers are and the market are very attracted to these types of products. So whether that's modified plastics, spent coffee grounds, these types of projects were ideas born of this mindset. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kendrick Wong. Now, building upon our previous topics on sustainable materials and innovative technology, let's now explore the fascinating realm of the hydrogen economy and the transformative potential of water solutions in driving sustainable development. Joining us online, we have Mr. Stanley Chin, CEO, CFO, Aqua Power Corporation, with the ambition to be a leading green smart cities technology company utilizing its proprietary water, energy management systems, AI, and hydrogen technologies to provide solutions, pathways towards a zero carbon and sustainable world. He will share with us the topic, hydrogen economy and water solutions. And here comes Mr. Stanley Chin. Hello, Stanley.
Hello.
Hi, you ready?
Everyone. Yes. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's my honor to be invited to present to you all on the subject of hydrogen economy and water resources. Let me make a quick introduction about Aqua Power. There's a tagline, power by water. I'll explain why in the later slide. So maybe we can first define what is the hydrogen economy. So I just pick up keywords here with regards to the hydrogen economy. One, hydrogen is a fuel. It's a source of power. And then the intention for the hydrogen economy is to generate power, energy in an environmental friendly manner, as defined here. And how is hydrogen generated? There are, as listed here, there are four main sources of production from natural gas, oil, coal, and I highlighted electrolysis of water, which is the basis of our technology, how we generate hydrogen. Just the macro view in terms of the development of the hydrogen economy, which has become quite a hot topic recently. As shown here, 80% of the world's energy is still generated from fossil fuel. With regards to hydrogen, it's one of the new pathway towards net zero. It's by no means the only pathway. But the great advantage of hydrogen technology is that it's flexible. It can work with different sources of energy, including renewable energy, to generate green hydrogen. And here I've listed down some of the hydrogen roadmap strategies in the key markets. EU, US, China, Japan, UK, South Korea, there are many more. Since the conference is held in Hong Kong, I thought I would highlight about the green hydrogen development in China. As highlighted in green here, the plan is to increase green hydrogen as part of the energy mix from 1% in 2019 to 10% by 2030. Obviously, it's a huge leap in terms of the development and production of green hydrogen. A quick introduction of Aqua Power. We are headquartered in Singapore, and our technology team, led by Professor Charles Kwan, has been doing research and development in the hydrogen and fuel cells space for more than 20 years. And to date, we have 15 patents registered, about 20 patents pending. And Professor Kwan has published more than 70 research papers in the field of hydrogen and fuel cells. And this is a timeline in terms of the technology development, which leads us to setting up our headquarters in Singapore with the intention to take the technology global. And just to highlight the patents we have, research papers, which I mentioned earlier. And I will share with you a tour of our products. On the left, we have water station, which is an all-in-one zero CO2 emission power storage and generator. And on the right is the utility scale electrolyzer under the brand Waterlyzer. So let me share with you more about the water station. As you can see here, is an all-in-one system. You need two inlets. One is the source of power, can be any source, can be from the grid, can be from renewable energy, can be a combination. And if you want to have a green hydrogen, then the source of energy will be from solar, wind, hydro, or thermal. And then the main feedstock for the whole system to work is water, because water is H2O. And then the water goes through a water purifier to demineralize the water so that you can get very high hydrogen purity. And then the water goes through a water electrolysis system, which splits the molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen is then stored in a tank. Effectively, it's like battery. A good comparable is what we have in our mobile phones, which is mainly lithium-ion battery, which is solid state. But with our system, we store the power in the form of hydrogen gas, in gas form. And when you need the power, then you release the hydrogen gas, which reacts with the fuel cells to generate back to power. So we have an all-in-one system. It has been working already in different locations for 3 years, and it's 100% zero CO2 emission free. And this product, Water Station, won the CES Innovation Honorary Award this year. And it's basically, with this system, anyone can generate hydrogen, including green hydrogen, on location. It's very modular, so you can add the modules, you can stack them up, you can put in different locations. And these are some of the use cases we have already in terms of the application of the water station. You can see for buildings, to provide lighting in sports complex, even smart farm. Is zooming into the water station, which has been installed in a 20-foot container. And you can see that the main power feed for this water station is solar panels installed in the rooftop of the adjacent building. And so the water station is very flexible. You can work on the left with the grid plus renewable energy and the water station, as well as off-grid, as long as you have a source of power. So it's effectively a distributed energy system, which is modular, stackable, and deployable. And this is a live use case whereby we'll be providing hydrogen-based energy system for a smart city project comprising residential buildings, commercial buildings, laboratories, and smart farms. So moving on to the utility scale electrolyzer. This is a much bigger in terms of capacity. The main difference compared to the water stations is that it does not contain fuel cells because the application is to generate green hydrogen from renewable energy. So with the water station, you can generate hydrogen on location, but what if you are in a city like Hong Kong or Singapore where there is not sufficient renewable energy? And solution to that is to generate the green hydrogen, say in Malaysia, from renewable energy projects and export the green hydrogen to another destination. This is an example of the master plan of a hydro to hydrogen project we are working on in Malaysia. The source of power for the production of green hydrogen is hydro, run of the rivers. So you can see here, there are many facilities which are required, but obviously we cannot do everything. So we work on an open partnership basis with partners in different areas of the value chain. And we're showing you some of the research and development we are doing based around the hydrogen technology. In addition to the water station, which is a power storage and generator, we're also developing hydrogen boats, water chair, refueling hydrogen chargers, and we can also make use of the oxygen which is produced from the electrolysis process by adding the component into an air purifier. Another important research and development we are doing is using salt water for the electrolysis. And in terms of the target industries for our products, I've listed 4 key industries: property sector, industries, manufacturing, transportation, and renewable energy. And our plan is over time to be able to connect the value chain from upstream, the renewable energy projects, converting that into green hydrogen, and then exporting the green hydrogen to other offtake markets, and ultimately to be able to offer our technology to the end users, be it residential, commercial, industrials, or so forth. And another topic is water management. So as I mentioned earlier, the key feedstock for the production of hydrogen via water electrolysis is water. So we have developed a fully integrated water management system as well, as you can see here, which collects water on the rooftop as well as on the ground. We have developed a patented permeable surface whereby the water, like the rainwater, will seep through the permeable surface with the water stored underground. So that way you save a lot of water, and then you can recycle the water, use the water for the purpose of generating hydrogen and feeding that into the water station or the waterlyzers. So that's it in terms of the presentation. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley Chin. So now continuing our exploration of sustainable energy solutions, let's now delve into the critical topics of net zero emissions and carbon capture, utilization, storage, which are at the forefront of global efforts to combat climate change. Next, also joining us online, we have Ms. Beena Sharma, CEO CCU International, to share with us her topic, Net Zero and Carbon Capture Utilization Storage, CCUS. Ms. Beena Sharma has a wealth of experience across multiple industries, including oil and gas, renewables, manufacturing, construction, and healthcare. She is a qualified carbon management specialist and also has a strong background in developing climate change programs and driving net zero strategies for businesses. So we are now, right there. Hi, Ms. Beena Sharma, how are you? Are you ready for
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. I'll send the time over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for the warm welcome. I'm actually calling from the UK, so it's still a little bit dark here, but unfortunately I couldn't make it to Hong Kong this time round, but I look forward to meeting everyone soon. Right, I'm going to delve straight in. So the topic for today is net zero and carbon capture, utilization and storage. It's a relatively new topic in the region, and I believe we may be the only providers in the region at the moment. I'll do a quick introduction to myself. So it has already been an introduction, but I am the CEO and co-founder of CCU International. CCU International provide next generation carbon capture technology. I'm based in Aberdeen, Scotland, but I travel quite a lot, and I have 20 years experience across various industries, mostly in the oil and gas industry. So my skills have been transferred into this space for quite some time now. And I'm a specialist in carbon management, and I come from a climate tech background. So that's it on me. Just to give some sort of background on what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we all know and we've heard about, climate change, carbon, the contribution that carbon dioxide plays. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of background on why this is important. And as we know, CO2 is one of several greenhouse gases that we have in our Earth's atmosphere. Of course, it is the most significant of those greenhouse gases. And over the years, we've seen an increase due to the burning of fossil fuels, which has led to this climate emergency that we talk about. But not just that, we not only have we been burning fossil fuels, but we've also been deforesting. So a lot of the trees that would normally absorb our CO2, there aren't enough of them. And not only are we putting more fossil fuels burning more fossil fuels, putting more CO2 into the atmosphere, but there's also deforestation, which means that as nature can't absorb it, that balances out. So we have to do something to bring that balance back. Those increased CO2 concentrations are the main cause of climate change. So what is it that we need to do to bring the balance back? And although there are a number of technologies and a number of solutions out there to reduce the CO2 entering the atmosphere, the truth of the matter is that we do use fossil fuels, and we will continue to need to use fossil fuels for some years to come, until the technologies like hydrogen, renewable power, etc., will be ready to take over. But we're some way away because there's so much advancement that needs to take place. So what we're looking at today really is carbon capture. And according to the UN, carbon capture will be a key technology in achieving net zero by 2050 and beyond. In some countries earlier, so in Scotland, for example, we've committed to 2045, and some countries obviously later. But what we've identified is there is a significant amount of CO2 that we will continue to burn, and there is a significant amount of CO2 that exists in our environment today that we need to do something about. And unless we capture that CO2, there will not be the opportunity to achieve net zero. So that's where carbon capture comes in and its play to net zero and why it's so important for net zero. I'm going to explain a little bit more about carbon capture and why it's important, particularly CO2, the importance of CO2, because I think they are quite key topics in understanding where technologies have a play. So very, very simply, what do we need CO2 for? So most people believe when we talk about climate change, we believe that CO2 is actually the enemy. And this is where hopefully that I'm going to remove some of those myths around CO2. We require CO2 to breathe. Our internal respiration relies on CO2. That's what we need to survive. Not just that, we've got plants and we've got trees, and they all use CO2 for the photosynthesis process. And that in turn provides us with our food. So animals and humans rely on these plants within that food chain. So that's where you can see very, very important CO2 is. But it's also used in almost everyday things. Almost everything we touch, there has been some element of CO2 use. So of course we use it directly for gases and things like fire extinguishers, but we also use it for things like animal slaughtering. And then we also use it in food and drinks production. So beer producing, carbonated drinks, your Coca-Colas, your Pepsis, etc. They all require carbonation. So CO2 is required for that carbonated process. And of course, the other thing that most people don't realize is CO2 is also required to keep a lot of our foods fresh. So the bags of salad that you get, for example, CO2 keeps that going for longer. Otherwise, things will perish very, very quickly. And you'll probably find CO2 in almost every single food product in some element, unless you're obviously buying foods from directly from farms. But even then, agriculture will use CO2 as well. And of course, the construction industry as well for building materials. There's also a utilization for the medical and health industry, where we have what we call medical grade CO2, and there will be an increase in that as we have more of an aging population. There's more of a requirement. But also, I mentioned foods. There's also dry ice. Dry ice is used to keep, particularly in the Asian region, is used to keep things like fish fresh and being able to transport foods without them going off, without the need for refrigeration. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of applications. I think the biggest application for dry ice in the UK is Heathrow Airport. It's used to blast, so it can be used as cleaning, for example, to blast for cleaning, and it's also used to keep the foods fresh that the airlines obviously provide on planes. So as you can imagine, huge quantities. So then the question is that, if we capture the CO2, there are two things really that we can do with it. And there are two ways in which we can capture that CO2. We can do something called point source, which is capturing it before it enters the atmosphere. And that could be from industries such as steel, such as shipping. So anywhere where you see a large chimney stack or a flue stack where they are emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. That's called point source capture. So you capture it before it goes into the atmosphere. And then the other way that we can do it is through direct air capture. And that is basically the technology is provided with big vacuum suctions of air that absorbs the CO2 through pulling it in and then separates out the CO2 and cleans up those gases. The difference between the two is that point source is obviously very concentrated. We're capturing it before it enters the atmosphere, but point source is very concentrated. So you tend to get higher concentrations of CO2, meaning that your technology doesn't have to work as hard as it would if you were capturing from direct air capture. Direct air capture, probably around sort of 2% CO2 with large quantities of all other gases, which means that your technology has to work harder. And there's an argument for both. Quite often I hear the argument of direct air capture not being maybe as energy efficient. And that is true. Obviously, if you're working harder to capture less CO2, then energy efficiency will come into play. But the use of the technology for both these areas is advancing very, very quickly. Governments are obviously investing lots of money into this. The captured CO2 can be utilized, as I mentioned, in some of those industries, some of the things that we use it for, or it can be what we call stored or sequestered into geological formations. Now, what that basically means is storing it underground. And the view that we have of that is really what we're viewing it as. And when you compare utilization to storage, it's commodity versus waste. So if you think about storage, what we're doing is we're looking at CO2 as a waste product. It's very linear. We take it, we capture it, and then we put it straight into the ground. And if we're looking at CO2 to be utilized, then we see it as a commodity. We see it's got a value. And actually, it does have a value because it can be captured and sold back into the industry to use. So really what I want to do is take a quick look at the CCUS value chain. So when we say CCUS, what we're talking about is carbon capture, utilization, and storage. The utilization piece is key here because that is really where our focus is, and I'll explain why in a minute. So here's what we look at, the CCUS value chain. We capture from sources, that could be point source or direct air capture, as I mentioned, and then we compress the gases or we liquefy the gases, we transport the gases, and then we send it wherever it is we need to utilize it, to the factories, to manufacturing plants. I think very recently we've been speaking to one sports brand who are using it for, or looking to use it for dyes in the dyeing process, because it takes away, removes the need for water, which is a huge waste, but also it provides dyes that are a lot more stronger and longer lasting. So who knew? And then, of course, it can be taken to storage. When we look at the two applications, what I want you to understand here is when we spoke about commodity versus waste, of course, utilization, it's a revenue generation opportunity. So not only are you capturing your emissions, but you're also generating revenues by providing either downstream technologies to produce utilization materials or liquefying and sending it on back onto industry to utilize. When we look at the storage chain, that is basically a cost exercise, which is probably one of the reasons why there have been severe delays in getting this over the line, particularly in Europe and the US. We have very, very few. In fact, in Europe, we have no geological sites at the moment, so we're not storing anything, despite having worked on projects like this for nearly 20 years. It's very complex to store. So you're looking at a cost exercise, capturing, compressing, liquefaction, transportation, and then you store. You store it, you inject it into underground geological formations, and then we think CO2 stabilizes in about 1,000 years. So that requires 1,000 years potentially or more of monitoring. As you can see, a cost exercise. However, in majority of the regions around Asia, we're not interested in storage because the geological formations have not been they've not been surveyed, and it may well be that it may not be suitable. So we need to think about utilization here, which is where my focus is. And when we talk about utilization, we talk about taking captured CO2, removing any carbon tax or emissions taxes for some of these industries, and then creating revenue streams, multiple revenue streams. And of course, anything that can be accurately measured, can be verified. If it can be verified, then we can create genuine carbon credits from it. So it's a revenue opportunity. And I believe that this is the way that we are going to get carbon capture over the line if we ensure that businesses are able to generate revenue from it, as well as removing their their carbon taxes or their emissions taxes that they face. Huge for industry and a big change. So let's just take a quick look at what we mean by utilization. We talk about a circular carbon economy. And this is really where and you're more than welcome, Professor Peter Styring has contributed towards this. You'll see the source at the bottom. He's part of our team, got 15, nearly 20 years experience in carbon capture utilization specifically, and advises governments all over the world. But when we're talking about circular carbon economy, we're talking about taking the CO2 that has already been burnt, so from industry emissions, and then utilizing it back into industry in product, or things like, for example, we can utilize it in things like sustainable aviation fuel, for example, which goes into avionics. We can use it for diesel. And this cycle really is all about understanding that we are going to continue to burn fossil fuels for some time yet until we find replacements. Therefore, in the meantime, as opposed to going to capture, as opposed to just capturing and storing, we should be looking at utilizing, because as we utilize, it removes the need for virgin fossil fuel, for further drilling for virgin fossil fuel. And this is where we look at taking ownership really of the CO2. And so what this talks about is an ownership of CO2 that we utilize within our industry or within our homes or whatever that be, and thinking about how that CO2 can be put back into industry for carbon avoidance, to avoid further fossil fuel. So this is really a massive mindset change which is starting to take place. And we're talking more and more about this, particularly in this part of the world, but more so in places like Asia, because there isn't an option for storage. And actually, with large parts of Asia going through their industrial revolution at the moment, it's essential, there's building material required, there's chemicals, you can utilize CO2 for ethanol, methanol, and lots of other useful chemicals. So just to give you that notion of the circular carbon economy, but if you want to read more, there's obviously the sources at the bottom there. I wanted to talk to you about a project that we're working on at the moment, just to give you some sort of idea to the impact that we're having, particularly in the UK. So feel free to Google this, it's all over the press. So it's a project called Flue to Chem. Flue to Chem, as you can see, all the partners on the right-hand side there. So we've got all the big names, Unilever, Johnson Matthey, Procter & Gamble. Now, those three companies alone are competitors. So as you can imagine, this is the first time that they've worked together on a project like this. And for those of you that are in the legal field, the just signing the agreements took about 18 months. So that gives you some sort of indication as to level of commitment to this. But also it's government backed. There's some funding that's coming from the government as well as all these blue chip companies. And what we are looking to do is CCU International providing the technology to capture CO2 emissions from the steel and paper mills. So we're talking about Holman Paper, UPM Caledonian and Tata Steel. In the UK, we're looking at capturing the CO2 emissions from these sites and taking that CO2 and creating what we call surfactants. Those surfactants are basically your chemical product that goes into almost every single cleaning product on this planet. So anything that separates out soap from water is a surfactant, or has a surfactant in it. So if you can imagine your dishwasher tablets, your fairy washing up liquids, your shampoos, your shower gels, virtually every single product has CO2 in it in some form as a surfactant. So what we're looking to do on this project is replace virgin fossil fuel, what the UPM Caledonian and Unilever, Johnson Matthey call, as opposed to decarbonisation, they call it defossilization. So removing the reliance off of virgin fossil fuel. If we can remove the reliance off of virgin fossil fuel, then really we're making achievements. And what they've discovered is that engineered solutions to remove CO2 from the whole process and engineering out CO2 is going to take them about 15 to 20 years, maybe longer. But the question really is, what do we do in the meantime? And this is where utilization comes in, because we quite often talk about we need to do something now. And carbon capture and storage doesn't provide a solution to do something now, because we're not storing anything in the UK, and we haven't done for nearly 15, 20 years, despite talking about it. So what we need to do is find a technology that enables us to not just capture the CO2, but then utilize it back into industry like this. I just wanted to highlight that project. Now, just so you know, you might have seen that this project alone has the opportunity to cut around 15 to 20 million tons of CO2 emissions every year, just in the UK alone. So just some food for thought there. It's a huge opportunity, and that's just in the UK. Just on that one as well, actually, very quickly, the capture system is ready to go. So we will be deploying the first capture system next month to the first paper mill. And hopefully you'll see all the press releases, etc., out about that. Right, very quickly, the CCUS value chain we've obviously spoken about. We know that net zero is essential for business. It's what you've been talking about for the last couple of days. And when we talk about offsetting, really, it should be the very last thing that we do once we reduce as much as we possibly can. But we need technologies, we need solutions to get us there. And though many of those technologies, we say around 50% of the technologies that we need for net zero do not yet exist. So innovation is key. We need to start putting more money and resources into innovating. Carbon capture obviously is going to be a key technology in achieving net zero, whilst we work out how to bring about those new those new technologies to provide the innovative ways of doing things. But we need to do things smarter, cleaner, and more cost effectively if we're ever going to achieve net zero in our lifetime at all. So just wanted to touch very quickly on the actual technology. And this, I wanted to leave you with some food for thought. We work very closely with our partners CS Tech in Hong Kong, who there are representatives in the crowd if you would like to speak to them today about the technology that we're bringing into Hong Kong. This is a next generational technology. And just to give you some background on existing carbon capture projects, most of the technology is conventional chemical-based technology. There are serious questions around the carbon efficiency of those technologies. What I mean by carbon efficiency is when you capture 10 tons of CO2, You need to ask yourself with any technology, how many tons of CO2 am I utilizing to capture that 10 tons of CO2? And if it's not very carbon efficient, then there are lots of questions around whether or not we should even be doing carbon capture for technology that maybe utilizes 11 or 12 tons of CO2, which is the case with direct air capture, or many direct air capture solutions at the moment. So what we do is we provide both point source and we provide direct air capture. That's our next process in development. But we provide this moment in time point source capture. So it's next generational technology. We do not use any hazardous substances, which is really key. You might ask the question, well, if we need CO2, and there is a shortage of CO2, a couple of years ago, we had a beer shortage in the UK, and that was shortage of CO2. We've got shortages for things like feedstocks for aviation fuels, for sustainable aviation fuels. And what I want you to think about now, well, if we have a shortage of CO2, then why are we putting it into the ground? And the simple answer is because of the technology that we're currently using. The current technology is dated. It's very, very large. The footprint of it is absolutely huge. And we use hazardous substances for it, which, of course, if your Coca-Cola's of the world example, they want to utilize CO2, it's very unlikely that they're going to be capturing from something that uses a hazardous substance, which is one of the reasons why we removed the utilization of hazardous substances. So there's no amines or any hazardous substances. Not just that, not only can we capture, but we can refine the CO2. And that's key, because for every industry that utilizes CO2, they will need a different level of refinement. So carbonation process for building materials, for example, may use less. The food industry may use what we call food grade. And then, of course, we've got medical grade as well. So we wanted to provide a technology that has the ability, that is future-proofed and has the ability to provide varying levels or purity levels of CO2. So in the future, it can be used for virtually anything. But it's also got a small footprint, it's modular, and it's scalable. And the key focus for this technology was its carbon efficiency. So our carbon efficiency sits somewhere between 91% worst case scenario and 99.5% best case scenario, maybe even 100, depending on the source of energy. We can run off renewable energy, for example. But the key thing for this is that we are able to refine for utilization and create revenue generation opportunities for businesses. It's much more likely that a business or an industry is going to adopt a technology if it generates them revenue and at the same time, contributing towards reducing climate change impact. It's much more likely that they are going to take on a technology that has the opportunity to generate revenue streams. So that's where I'm at. If you would like to keep in contact, I believe Dixon Chan is in the audience from CS Tech. Please do reach out to him. I don't know if he wants to pop his hand up. And of course, I am available on LinkedIn and anywhere else via email, etc., and through our website. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beena Sharma, and her information and her reminders. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, and our online viewers from Yahoo and from Wong, as we continue our exploration of sustainable business practices, it's time to discover the principles behind creating a regenerative economy and the approach of ESG stakeholder engagement, making sustainability easy. Our next speaker, Mr. Arthur Lam, co-founder and CEO, Negawatt Technology Limited, will also be joining us online for a speech about creating regenerative economy with ESG stakeholder. Oh, he's in person here. Stakeholder engagement as easy as 1, 2, 3. And Mr. Arthur Lam is a serial entrepreneur with a focus on sustainability. He is the co-founder and CEO of Negawatt Technology Limited, an AIoT, artificial intelligence of things, startup specializing in ESG and smart city solutions. Arthur has extensive experience in property technologies and energy management contracts, and he holds certifications in ESG planning, carbon auditing, and energy management. Over to you, Arthur. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hi. Just one thing, please. Do me a favor. Can we all stand up just for 1 second? Just stand up, please, because You guys been sitting down for hours, and I want to applaud you guys, right? Thank you very much. And I just want to have a show of hands, yeah? We all here are ESG expert, obviously, right? So just one question, yeah? Outside work, okay, on a daily basis, who actually thinks that they have done enough for sustainability and ESG? Can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. So we have a room of expert, and why are we not raising our hand? Anyway, just sit down, it's okay. I just want to make you stretch. So, we've been sitting for hours. But anyway, so what do we do? So my name is Arthur, and my company is called Negawatt, and I'm a very proud startup company of Cyberport, and also a student of Dr. William Yu. Okay, so I myself is a carbon auditor, energy manager. I graduated from engineering background. My first venture in Hong Kong actually is doing clean tech, energy management contracts, EPCs. Have been around about 10 countries, doing about 400 EPCs, save about 2.5 billion kilowatt hour. Okay, so that's about 25 million trees. Then eventually in 2016, I listed my last startup on Hong Kong Stock Exchange main board, right? And I'm actually here to make a confession, right? The confession is outside work, I have not been sustainable at all. And that is a problem that I'm trying to tell you today. So, this is a story that I want to share. I was in Johannesburg and doing contracts in South Africa. This is the photo that was being taken when I was about to get car hijacked. I was getting car hijacked in South Africa, okay, doing projects over there. But eventually I did, march on and sign a contract, probably the largest LED retrofit project in entire African continent. 1,007 stores, million light bulbs, saved about 1.6 billion kilowatt hour. So the problem is, and I realize, to save the world, we have to save the environment. But the problem is, saving the environment does not save the world. Okay? Look at all this problem that we have right now. ESG is still a problem. Climate action, people on the roads, we have government saying like, yeah, forget about ESG, right? And guess what? Is that the right way? I've been asking myself, is that the right way how we do it? Currently, we spend about $37 trillion in ESG asset. We are still having problems. So what have we been doing? It has to go top down, right? The government do something. CEO need to give budget. We can only work with companies that have resources. They're educated, right? Well, it comes with cost, obviously. And then how do you quantify ROI? It's difficult because not all ESG impact is quantifiable. Okay, so we talk a lot, obviously not do enough, right? And of course, we have to do a lot of disclosure and reporting and to engage staff to do ESG. Who thinks has actually cracked this problem? Engaging your staff to do climate action. Okay, because ESG for climate action, right? So we've heard about great tech driving the E part. What about the S part? What about the social part? What about the employee? How do you do it? So I thought, maybe there's a new way to do it. Maybe you think I'm an idiot. But guess what? I thought, why don't we try bottom up? Why don't we try with the underprivileged? Why don't we try the low and mid-income? Why don't we, ESG should be free. And we do it every day. Don't do it for one day, do it every day. And how about if we can find a way to transform these employees or citizens to be planet hero, maybe we have a chance to engage 80% of entire society. Because before it's only 1%, we all know that, right? Maybe this is how we do it. I just think out loud. As an entrepreneur, flip the funnel, yeah? So I think the world is changing. Has anyone seen Apple new release video about the entire Apple team meeting Mother Nature? Has anyone seen this video? Yeah, you have, great. So I was really, really excited when there's one shot when Mother Nature is calling out one of the employees when he is wearing a leather jacket. And Mother Nature said, well, you're gonna get phased out too. So this is a message to us that, and I also see this as a blind spot of all industry, of all company, it's really hard to engage your employee to do ESG, climate action on a daily basis, digitize that, incentivize them, and do it voluntarily. How do we do it, right? So I think, after a few companies, I think the greatest asset of the company is always going to be employee. But why don't we start with our own employee? So that's after a couple of years, 15 years, I think to drive ESG impact, I think there's 3 elements that's very critical. Number 1, we have to create environmental impact. Otherwise, what we're doing here. Number 2, we have to create communities because not one company can solve the world problem. We have to make impact grow itself. And growing, it needs social. We have to create communities. And number 3, probably the most important part, we have to create economic output. Because without economic output, the first 2 is called charity and NGO, which is great, but no company would take me seriously. Definitely not venture back. So when you all 3 add together, that is called regenerative economy, and that's what we're trying to do here. So what do we do? I asked myself, well, I've been very sustainable, work-wise, part-time greenwashing, because outside work, I'm not sustainable. So I asked myself, why am I not sustainable? Boils down to 2 problems. Number 1, it's not convenient. Who doesn't like to drive a car, vroom, vroom, and then pick up girls, right? Who doesn't want to have home AC on, right? No one wants to do that. Number 2, there's actually no incentives to be a sustainable person. It's not immediate. And I've checked all the playbook, all the framework, all the ABCDFGs of sustainability. There's no one law regulation it says people who do ESG cannot be incentivized, right? No one's ever said that. So I thought, why don't I actually make an ESG super app that to gamify sustainability and bring happiness to our community? So what does it do? So we built a super app that would digitize all your everyday citizens' social impact, ESG impact, climate action impact, from recycling, from green dining, to reducing your plastic usage, to lowering your utility bills. What we compare to Hong Kong net zero target, 2050, you hit the target, we give you points. Walking, exercising, execution, all these things that you can do in your app, you can actually quantify that, will give you points and rewards. And what happened? On the right side, we have actually engaged with over 500 merchants to give you discounts on the products. So they would love to actually engage sustainable users. Okay, so what is happening here? You guys who do climate action, you get coins on the platform. You can use cash to buy discount coupons with all my merchants on the right. Okay, so what does the merchant get, right? Number 1, they get to engage the existing and potential stakeholders. Number 2, they actually get businesses and impact for reporting, right? And as an end user, everyone is happy. Okay, so this is the concept that we made with our app called 02. So in the last 6 months, we were able to work with over 600 merchants, creating a $200 million worth of incentives to incentivize people, because at the end of the day, I think ESG is about happiness, right? Does it really work? So we actually are very, very grateful that we have been working with Hong Kong Housing Society. Okay, they have about 150 residential buildings, 100,000 people all over Hong Kong, right? And just give you a quick clip, couple of minutes, you'll see our impact.
平時咧，我哋咧都有環保意識嘅，但係咧我哋就唔會特登去分類去做。但係有咗呢個 Apps 之後咧，因為佢分類去做咧，咁我哋又習慣咗啦，就每個月咧將啲衫啊，或者係啲報紙啊，全部分類好晒。我哋咁多個月都習慣咗啦。就算佢完咗之後，我哋都習慣係做呢樣嘢。
劉生早前響應住緊嘅房協屋邨推廣活動，開始透過垃圾分類回收賺積分。開咗㗎啦，已經係啊，就咁對住佢追就得啦。記錄回收物品嘅重量，掃描手機上嘅二維碼，積分就會自動記錄喺呢個回收獎勵計劃嘅手機應用程式。以往冇用過嘅。 自從出咗呢個 Apps 之後咧，因為可以儲分啊嘛，
換啲禮物啊嘛。咁啊，我哋咧都習慣咗儲咗啲報紙啊、鋁罐啊咁分類晒咧，咁啊拎落呢度換咯。
同樣熱衷於回收賺積分嘅，仲有住喺相同屋邨嘅黃女士。將垃圾、舊衫分類回收，外賣免取即棄餐具，甚至慳到水、電用量等等，都可以儲積分，換取消費優惠同埋濕紙巾等禮品，甚至有機會贏取家電或者樂園住宿套票等獎品。不過對黃女士嚟到講，活動更加意外拉近咗同街坊鄰里嘅距離。
好處咧就同啲街坊咧就共融啲嚇，你換咗幾多嘅分啊，我換咗幾多分啊咁樣咯。即係大家有啲話題啊，咁樣就又可以換到啲禮物啦，大家都開心咁樣咯。即係用咗之後咧，就係點樣咧？減碳啦，而家咁樣就可以繼續，我都繼續用支持嘅。
3、2、1。面對而家全球氣候變化同埋社會長遠嘅發展需要啦，似乎真係推動可持續發展係刻不容緩。房協希望透過今次嘅計劃凝聚社區力量。
房協今年7月開始喺旗下20個出租屋邨舉辦一個減碳獎賞計劃，鼓勵村內3萬幾戶居民同埋房協嘅員工等等喺日常生活當中進行唔同嘅減碳任務，並且記錄喺手機應用程式裏面。
我哋用呢個應用程式咧，去推行我哋呢個社區嘅減碳計劃咧，個好處咧就係將每一個參加者佢哋嘅減碳嘅行為去量化，將一啲用家佢嗰個減碳嘅足跡咧可以數碼化，咁變咗咧就真係實實在在，大家知道大家做一啲嘅行為嘅時候，譬如回收又好，或者我哋減少用一啲塑膠嘅食具又好，原來我哋係幫呢個地球減少緊幾多嘅碳排放咧。
活動至今有超過9000戶居民同埋房協員工參與，合計減碳至少32萬公斤，相當於13000棵樹。支持嘅商戶亦都由活動初期嘅200幾間增加到而家超過600間。雖然活動有提供獎賞，但係房協相信長遠唔會增加成本負擔，期望計劃可以令到更多人養成環保嘅習慣，繼而吸引更多商戶提供獎賞優惠。
雖然我哋而家呢一個嘅地區計劃係半年，但係個應用程式係一路都存在噶嘛，即係唔會因為我哋嘅計劃完結就冇咗呢應用程式噶嘛。相信只要參加嘅使用者越嚟越多，商戶自然就越嚟越多，因為對佢哋嚟講咧，其實都係帶動到佢哋嘅生意。所以呢個成個計劃咧，唔單止係可以喺地區層面推動到一個低碳生活，更加係咧我哋係希望可以推動到一個綠色嘅經濟。
開發呢個應用程式嘅初創公司本身從事房地產工程技術，實時全天候管理空氣質素、電能消耗、用水量、燃氣喉管、網絡線路等等俗稱風火水電嘅物管數據。佢期望將環保回收理念日常化同埋遊戲化，令到市民更加容易投身低碳生活。
喺呢個嘅智慧城市嘅風火水電都會睇得到噶嘛，嗰啲 data。咁所以我哋就今年喺 Covid 之後啦，就開始 launch 呢個嘅叫做遊戲化嘅 app， 可以令到咧每一個人咧都可以咧真係用個手機就可以去將佢每日嘅衣食住行嘅低碳生活啦，就去做 game 化、遊戲化去儲分，然後跟住我哋就可以去帶到唔同嘅優惠俾啲市民，咁令到真係人人可以做 ESG。
我哋經常抌垃圾，但係當中唔少資源，例如膠樽、鋁罐、紙張、舊衫，以至到係玻璃等等，喺妥善回收之後，仍然有再利用嘅價值。要市民積極參與環保回收，或者正正係缺乏踏出第一步嘅誘因。
我覺得ESG 要成功嘅話咧，就一定要係上至下都要俾 direction 一定要啦，然後下至上咧係大家感染大家啦，就去 create 一個叫做 community 出嚟，將每一個人嘅市民係佢可以好輕鬆 ，OK， 日日可以做 ESG， 做咗地球英雄之後咧，佢係會俾人會有鼓勵有激勵嘅市民嘅使命感啊 ，OK， 真係可以由個 app 嗰度帶到出嚟咧，就呢度令到有機會令到呢個社會更加開心。
其實過去20-30年，佢都做好多地區嘅教育嘅，要達到碳中和呢個目的咧，咁我相信每人行多一小步，其實大家就可以令到我哋碳中和嘅目標更加接近，佢更加了解環保其實係唔係咁難嘅事嚟嘅啫。
That is a very good example, yeah? So housing, we're talking about low income, uneducated, didn't really know what ESG is for sure. They didn't go to school, right? They hardly could even get their phone working right. But guess what? In just 3 months, we were able to reduce 390 tons of carbon emission, 16,000 trees. Every month, this community is planting 1 Victoria Park a month, right? So for us, for all this expert, what can we do? Well, go to this, download some app outside, it's free. But anyway, so we're very happy that our award was recognized by United Nations, right, for driving climate action collectively in scale, right? And also all the impact that you do on the app. We actually bought rainforest in Tanzania, right? Verified by Plan Vivo. Okay, so it's I would say it's registered, right? So beyond Hong Kong, we're very honored that we could go out to the Middle East with John Lee, our chief executive, to represent the tech community and ESG to drive bilateral economic development over there. And just now, about a month ago, Belt and Road were able to sign another MOU with Mubadala like Catalyst. So if these people can do it, I think we all can do better, right? Even outside work on a daily basis, I think we can drive, because ESG, at the end of the day, I think it's about happiness, right? And that's the social part, how we do it collectively and happily. So thank you very much. Last thing, 02. Why is it number 2? Because 02 is about me and you. All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you once again, Mr. Arthur Lam. Thank you for sharing. It was really inspirational. After learning the regenerative economy with ESG stakeholder engagement, now let's hear more of the key measures for a sustainable transformation. Our next session is about 3 key measures you need to embrace for sustainable transformation. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Ryan Wong, Financial Account Manager of Financial Services, Hong Kong and Taiwan, Hewlett Packard Enterprise.
Hello,
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Wong. I'm the Financial Account Manager from HP Enterprise Financial Services, covering Hong Kong and Taiwan. First and foremost, I would like to share my personal experience on the last few months about the extreme weather and natural disaster. We had one occasion of black rain signal and another occasion of typhoon. Personally, I'm a father of 2 sons, so I'm living at the east of Hong Kong, which is quite reputed to being affected by the typhoons and extreme weather conditions. So that day I need to spend some time with my kids to get them to, get the plastic bag stick on the leaking of the windows and, put water buckets to collect water besides the window. Okay. So actually, I read an article from Bloomberg in October saying that the insurance claim for natural disaster is set to reach $500 million for Hong Kong. So I just want to bring out a message that ESG is not just for enterprise, it's not just for IT, it's not just for finance, it's for everyone. So basically, it will affect every aspect of your life. Yeah, and you have to take a key consideration on sustainability. Okay. So that's why you see all the news feed and, from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from IG, that everyone is talking about sustainability, and we are having lots of events and draw the awareness. It used to be a nice to have topic, but it's no longer a nice to have topic right now. Yeah. So in terms of, because I'm actually from HP Enterprise, and traditionally we are, IT solution. related to IT or related solutions, we are always focusing on the e-waste that contributed to the world. So say, for example, your computers, your personal tablets. So these are the main contributors of countries and geos that contributed e-waste in 2022. And guess what's the number of kilotons of e-waste contributed by these countries in 2022? The number is around approximately 39,000 kilotons of e-waste contributed. So what can we do for this to save the world? One more message I would like to bring is that in the current research of IDC is an international data corporation, is a well-known market researcher in USA, is saying that ESG is more and more aware for IT purchases. 50% of the RFP request for proposal are expected to be included as the top 3 key measures of the RFP issuing by the clients and partners. And also 60% of the clients will evaluate their vendors and partners and the environmental sustainability process and procedures. And on the right-hand side, you can see a research of 451 research, which is S&P Global Intelligence Data Research, is saying that more than 80% of IT users or key decision makers think that ESG is an important play or when they make decision on tech refreshment. Yeah. So it comes to the main topic of my presentation, the 3 key measures that you will need to embrace for sustainability transformation is budget, time, and sustainability. Traditionally, enterprise and clients strive to use the budget to refresh their sustainability solutions, and also they need to explain to the CFOs and C-levels why this kind of solutions is justified. But in HPE, we provide solutions for clients in terms of budget, help on budget. We also provide assistance and guidance on sustainability. So in the next slide, I will show our key solution that we do. So first and foremost, I would like to highlight HPE do assets upcycling, disposal for all kind of IT assets. So it's very important that we not just doing recycling, we actually benchmark ourselves as a unique company that doing IT assets upcycling. And we have a unique report that provide to our clients called Circular Economy Report. This report demonstrate and show to the client all their IT assets that they dispose. We provide their carbon emission savings data in our Circular Economy Report. So in this report, we provide scope 3 emission savings for their IT assets disposing. And also we demonstrate the value based on greenhouse gas protocol standard to evaluate and calculate all the assets disposing or refreshing from our clients and our partners. Okay, so and this report is a very key, important information, helping our partners and clients to boost their achievement to achieve their net zero target. For HPE, we also have a net zero target, which is ahead of Hong Kong government, is 2040, yeah. So this report demonstrate helping our partners to achieve the goals, yeah. And besides sustainability, I would like to just provide case references that helping our clients in terms of assets upcycling, which is our trade Yahoo Japan, which we did. We actually signed the assets upcycling partnership with them since 2022. They have a requirement to dispose all their IT assets securely, and also they need to have transparency on the logistic and also in terms of data wiping, data security. And we managed to fulfill all their requirements. And most importantly, they have a net zero goal of 2030 to achieve net zero. So we provide the circular economy report that I just told just now to show and quantify all the assets that they dispose and quantify the carbon emission savings to Yahoo Japan. And now until now, we actually pay them, inject capital to Yahoo Japan for almost US dollar $3 million, and also we help them to dispose more than 3,000 IT units of assets since 2022. Yeah. So HPE play two roles in helping our client on tech refresh sustainably. One is that we inject through two ways, actually. By HPE SS upcycling service, so if you think about yourself, if you have your laptops and desktop and you want to unlock the value of that, we actually help the client on that. We pay client to buy back their assets and let them to keep using their assets in their data center for tech refreshment. So we help them on assets data migration. And on the other hand, we also we provide assets buyback service for the assets that they would like to refresh. And in 2020, over 3 years, last 3 years, we actually injected $1.1 billion US dollars over the world for all kind of assets upcycling service that we did globally. And we processed it up to 3.6 million units of IT assets globally over the world. Yeah. So HPE have two professional technology renewal center, one in Scotland and one in USA. We are a unique and globalized technology company, solution provider, and we are actually helping clients on achieving their sustainability goals on tech refreshment. Yeah. So should you have any questions related to our services or about sustainably disposing IT assets, feel free to reach out to me personally, and I could provide more information to you. Thank you for letting the sharing session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Mr. Ryan Wong. Creating infrastructure, technology, logistics, goods and service, and to improve people's lives and to create a more sustainable and inclusive future is the core focus of Asia-Pacific Green Deal. To achieve the global goals agreed by world leaders in 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement, there needs to be partnership amongst businesses, governments, and communities to achieve development that is sustainable. Next, please welcome our next guest speaker, Professor Simon S.M. Ho, President, the Hang Seng University of Hong Kong, HSUHK, joining us on stage to share on how corporate optimize sustainable value of different stakeholders. Professor Simon Ho is chairman of the Citizen Advisory Committee on Community Relations and member of the Advisory Committee on Corruption, Independent Commission Against Corruption, ICAC of Hong Kong. He is the editor of the Asian Journal of Business Ethics by Springer and editorial board member of the Journal of Business Ethics by Springer. So please welcome Professor Ho. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow, so nice to see so many friends here. But first of all, I apologize. I don't have a very good voice in the last few days, so I will do my best. Now, also, before I start, just a big, I would say, good news, at least to our university. We just set up, actually get approved just about 2 weeks ago to set up the Asia-Pacific ASEAN Green Deal Center, right? Actually, Albert Au is our honorary co-director of the new center being set up at the Hang Seng University, right? Actually, we are collaborating with so many green organizations in the region, including the ASEAN Economic Club, also the Hong Kong Green Institute, WGO, and also the Asia Pacific Green Deal Cooperation Council, right? This is something I think we have a lot to do together, cross-sector, different green body. Now today, my topic actually is quite, I would say, a bit differences. from other speaker. All right, I'm an academic. I'm running a university. My concern is about more on academic, research, education, as well as public education. So what I'm trying to do is to sort out a lot of, I would say, very confusing, very loose concept regarding whatever you call it green, you call it ESG, or you call it sustainability. I find more and more confusions this day, and I think we should sort out the concept, right, before we move further, right? Now, this is a very simple diagram I have been adopting for explaining a lot of theory about a lot of practices in green, in sustainability, or in ESG. So my concern is there should be always equilibrium or a kind of a balance between three dimensions, right? The top is economic efficiency, economic growth, right? We need growth, we need efficiency, we need good return in investment. On the left-hand side, I was thinking about, we should be thinking about the rainy days in the future, all right? We don't have sunshine every day, right? We should think about how to really management, about risk, about resilience, all right? When the days come, we should do all preparation well, all right? Overseeing a lot of things before the rain or the wind come by. Now on the right-hand side, I call it equity and sustainability, all right? And always we have to make sure we have a just society, all right? And also we should have social equity, and also we always have passion to help the less advantaged. And also we should make sure everything must be sustainable, right? This is something we believe, at least in my mind, I always try to think about this triangle. Now, in the university, I have been an accounting professor for over almost 40 years already, right? So I must admit, in the business school, we have been teaching our students wrongly, I would say, most of the concept. When I was an undergraduate in the United States, my professor always told me, all right, as a senior executive, as a director, we have to maximize the return to our shareholders, all right? So I don't think it's right. Actually, we have been picking up and we have been trying to do something to correct this kind of mistake. We should not prolong this kind of education in business school. And indeed, I believe we must redefine the purpose, the nature, and the responsibility of corporations, right? And in that, we believe corporations are important social institutions, or should always, comply with what we call a social contract. It's not really a contract you sign on a piece of paper, but when you turn into a corporation, all right, you want to be incorporated, that means you already committed to comply with a lot of, terms and conditions. Now, the main undertaking for being an incorporation is to optimize the sustainable values of different independent stakeholders and not just maximizing shareholders' value, right? Now, this is something I hope we can always remind ourselves, our students, what's the purpose, what's the responsibility of a corporation, right? And also we believe business should be a part of the solution to social problem rather than a social cause, right? And also we can create both economic and social value. Now this is the underlying assumption of all my remaining discussion on this topic. Now in the last 10 years, you heard a lot of terms, concepts, terminologies about goods, about doing good, about green. Now these are all the concepts I recollected from the literature, including CSR, including benefit corporations, including green impact financing. Also, we mentioned about CSV. We talk about doing well by doing good. All these terms, I would think, to some extent, they are overlapping. But at the same time, I think they have different unique elements. Sometimes we try to mix up together. For example, sometimes I see I have been judged in a CSR award for the last 3 years. In fact, they are confusing ESG with CSR with sustainability. But to me, I think they are fundamentally different in some sense. The main problem is we are lacking a common responsible management conceptual framework, which I would elaborate further in a minute. Now, the most, I think, confusion, indeed, I don't like the term ESG. I think ESG is something come out, without very strong theoretical, backing. But since we commonly adopt it, I think it's difficult to change. Let's adopt it, but let's clarify something. Right? Now, to me, environment doesn't equal to sustainability alone. Right? Sustainability including not just environment, also including people, all right, and also economic sustainability. And social in ESG doesn't mean CSR, because yes, CSR usually we mean we have good heart, we donate money, we do volunteer work, we do some public, goods, and some creating more public values. And CSR, to me, doesn't equal to sustainability, but sometimes we try to, mix up even without our, kind of attention. And also, I think the most confusing is ESG compliance, to me, doesn't mean ESG scoring or ranking at all, right? So even you do a very good job in reporting, doesn't mean you will score high. Sometimes, the scoring methodology quite tricky, all right? You don't even know why a firm rank being so high by one agency, but so low by another agency. And more importantly, I think ranking scoring does not equal to impact. I think if you read one of the report by the Bloomberg management report, the most influential, most impactful corporation in the world, many of them do not rank high in the formal ranking list, but they create a real impact to the whole world, right? And also, I think impact doesn't mean investment return. They can be different things. But by the same article in the Bloomberg report, the investment, have the highest return usually are those who create a real impact, but not those who have the highest ranking or scoring. Right? So you can see the differences between ranking, impact, and return. Right? Sometimes we mix up together. Right? And lastly, we always debate doing good, doing well. I believe in the short term it's difficult. So every corporation have to tell a good story about your ESG strategy. Okay? And why the investor do not have to wait too long to see the cash flow in, right? I think every corporation must have a very clear strategy, right? Even in the short term, in the middle term, the long term, you have to demonstrate you can create values to your stakeholders, to your investors. Now, of course, coming back to ESG reporting, I think, of course, we know we have different definition, different rating when you do the scoring. I think it's quite understandable, because of the different kind of definition they use. And indeed, actually, you can read the CFA Institute report. Currently, most investors or report users use the S data, the list. That also implying that the S disclosure right now is quite confusing. And the information values from the current S disclosure are far from satisfaction, right? And also, I think we can see that currently most of the reporting disclosure are mainly focusing one major disclosure user is the investors, but less consideration on other different stakeholders. And also my concern, of course, E is more, clear-cut and much more easy, more objective to measure. But on the dimension of S, if you read the Appendix 27 of the main keyboard listing rules, you can see there are about 6 or 7 major indicators, including labor, management, anti-corruption, value chain management, and also kind of, safety and health and community investment. But to me, it's just a bundle of things. You can never tell, what are the connection, what are the interrelationship between the 6 or 7 dimensions, right? So my argument is S should not be social. I think we should change the label. We should change to a stakeholder approach. So S means stakeholder, not social anymore. Right? Now, this is the concept I have been presented, I think, in 2016 in the United Nations headquarters, when I attended the PRME 10th anniversary global forum in New York. So I think I received quite positive responses for adopting this concept. Now, if we can agreeable on such a conceptual framework, I think that will help a lot in the future ESG or sustainability development. Now, my concept is very simple. On the left-hand side, we always have to stick to a social contracting concept. That means once you become an incorporation, you must obey with the social contract. That means you have to optimize the sustainable values of all different stakeholders, not just one single stakeholder group. And then we have the responsible governance. Now, on the right-hand side, we divided, no matter you call it ESG, no matter you call it green, I think there are three major components or 3 major foundations, all right? Now, in the middle, we call it stakeholders, all right? So we must knowing who are our primary stakeholders, and we must be report and accountable for all these different major primary stakeholders. And we should be caring about how to optimize the stakeholders' values, right? Not just short-term, but also long-term sustainable values to different stakeholders. Now, on the bottom, I think most people working on ESG do not pay enough attention to ethics, especially business ethics. Now, ethics, to me, means at least you don't do harms to your stakeholder. Before you mention, you create positive value to them, right? At least stop doing harms to all different stakeholders before you can talk about creating a positive values to your stakeholders, all right? But you can see still a lot of firms, why they're doing something nice, to some stakeholder, but also they cause harms to the other stakeholders, right? So I think we have to also comply with the very basic foundation. I think if you don't have the ethics, the most basic components, it's even hard to talk about sustainable values, right? And on top, we're talking about sustainability. Okay, that means all the values you are creating for your stakeholder must be sustainable, right? Not just for very short term, and they must have the resilience, and also they should have a growth model to make sure the values are sustainable. All right, now to me the concept is very simple. We're combining 3 very basic components. The very basic ethics are do not do harms, do not do something unethical, do not do anything unlawful, right? And reporting accountable to every stakeholders, and make sure the values you create to them are sustainable. Now, this is very simple. Of course, if you're familiar with Everett Freeman's stakeholder model, I just try to modify a bit, right? And indeed, I think if I don't have time, if not, I think I can elaborate further how we divide the priority among different stakeholders. But this is a more basic concept about what we mean a stakeholders model. Okay, now on sustainability, as I mentioned earlier, most people were talking about the planet, but indeed, we also care about people, society, and also about the economic growth, about the profit. That's what they call the 3P approach to sustainability. But also, I think a bit, to myself, I think even the current 17 SDG, I think sometimes a bit loose. I think if you can reorganize it along this 3P dimension, it may be much easier to communicate and formulate policy among the 17 SDGs. Right, this is, you are quite familiar. But currently, it's hard to, really recalling 17 without a very systematic kind of classification. Okay, now about the multi-indicator. Now, to me, ESG is not everything, all right? To really measure the real performance of a corporation, I think we are not only talking about ESG performance, right? Also relating to leadership, culture, strategy, risk management, and innovation. But unfortunately, the current ESG do not really measure much about these dimensions. And also, we believe when you do the reporting, I think you must be classifying into stakeholder by stakeholder systematically, all right? You don't report to a lump sum stakeholder group, but dividing them into customers, employees, investors, suppliers, creditors, government, and the community, right? And trying to measure and reporting the sustainable values, creating to each stakeholder group. But unfortunately, I think very few corporations now in the ESG report or sustainability report, they divide the stakeholder, the reporting, group by group. Sometimes they lump everything together. Right? It's hard to tell the values being created for each stakeholder group. And also, we believe no single score can do and need a balanced scorecard kind of multi-dimension. I think it covers both tangible information, intangible information, both financial information and non-financial information. Right? Now, this is also, I think, the future of ESG. I think we are not just focusing on some very simple number or figures. Okay, now the last part I mentioned, doing well by doing good. This is always being asked or challenged by many investors or analysts. Now, to me, I think so far there are no clear empirical evidence because the measurement of ESG or social responsibility is quite different depending on the researcher. There's no agreeable research framework, variable, and measurement. But to me, I think the connection, the interrelationship should be quite, predictable, right? And the question is, if ESG rating is so important, why so many investors still, invest stock with low ESG rating, right? Of course, they are short-termed, right? That's why they don't care. They don't see the long-term values and a long-term return. But probably another reason is they don't find the current ESG disclosure have high information value relevancies, right? So that means the disclosure actually do not really help them to create premium on the return, right? There's something related to accounting measurement. I think a lot of people may not understand well what to mean by information value relevancy. But indeed, disclosing something doesn't mean you create the information value. Right? That's why they are not being treated seriously by our investors. Now, of course, I think another reason, as I mentioned earlier, I believe they can coexist. I think good ESG practice, good green practice, good sustainability practice, I believe they can coexist with investment return. But the thing is that the firm has to identify its ESG strategy and tell its good ESG stories. Right? And also, you cannot be too long before you can create visible values to your investors. I think now many major corporations, I don't think they want the investor to wait 4 or 5 years before they can see the cash inflow. I think you have to really come up with some ESG strategy and ESG measures which can create some positive cash inflow, say within 2 or 3 years. You cannot ask the investor to wait 10 years, 15 years to see the return. And again, as I mentioned earlier, don't forget, ESG rating do not equal to ESG impact. ESG impact do not equal to investment return. All right. So we are talking about the real impact. According to the empirical evidence, if you can create a real impact, you will enjoy the alpha, kind of premium in your investment. So not just measuring the disclosures, compliance, not just talking about the rating, measuring about your real impact. If you can convince the market you are creating the real impact, we still believe, according to the evidence, there are always premium in the return. But as I mentioned earlier, real impact doesn't mean ESG rating or ESG ranking or ESG scoring. They are two different things. Okay, now concluding remark. I think we should change S from social to stakeholders. And also, every corporation should identify its own suitable ESG strategy and tell its good ESG stories. And as a university educator, as a professor, my and my colleagues' job is make sure we nurture future purposeful and responsible leader who can really pursue three elements in the conceptual framework I mentioned earlier. First, make sure you understand stakeholders' values, right? Identify stakeholder, creating the value to them, to every different stakeholders. Second, don't forget about business ethics. The third must be sustainable, right? It's very simple, easy to remember, okay? Only 3 dimensions. And the purpose of a corporation, we always have to remind our students, optimizing sustainable values of different stakeholders. At the end, it's all win. And finally, we work together towards a resilient and sustainable stakeholder-based capitalism, or we call it green capitalism. Right, a very short sharing of some thought of mine. So hope you can provide me more feedback, whether you agree or disagree some of the things I mentioned earlier. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ho. And please remain on stage as you will be joining us for our next session. Our next session will be the panel discussions session. So they're bringing you the chair so you can have a seat and prepare for the next session. For the panel discussion, it's going to be on the topic Asia-Pacific Green Deal. So Professor Ho will be one of the panelists. I'd like to introduce our moderator for this session, which is Mr. Alpha Chia, Manager of Risk Advisory, BDO Hong Kong, to the stage. And our other panelists, I'd like to invite Mr. Albert Wong, Founder and President of World Green Organization, Co-Chairman of ASEAN Economic Club, former Chair of UNESCAP ESBN Green Economy Task Force. And also Mr. Andy Chan, CEO and co-founder, Think ESG Limited. And Mr. Jackson Zhe, Executive Director, C Polar Technologies Asia Limited. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And over to you, Mr. Alpha Chia. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our panel discussion on Asia Pacific Green Deal. And I'm Alpha, the Manager of Risk Advisory for BDO. And I will be the moderator for today's session. And our panelists are experts in the field of sustainability and environment. And then Mr. Albert Wong, who's the CEO and founder of World Green Organization. And we have Professor Simon Ho, who's the president for Hansen University of Hong Kong. And on my left side, we have Mr. Andy Chan, who's the CEO and co-founder of Think ESG Limited. And we have Mr. Jackson Zhe, who's the executive director of C Polar Asia. And welcome. And to be honest, this is my first time as the moderator in a panel discussion. And guys are telling me to keep an eye on the clock. And because some of the discussion, it will be overrun easily. But to me, it can be a good thing because you have to be passionate on the ESG topics in order to overrun or overtalk it, isn't it? All right, let's, without further ado, let's begin by having each panelist introduce themselves. Mr. Albert Wong, please start us off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. To start off, let me clarify my position. I'm the co-founder of World Green Organization, but I'm the president of the World Green Organization. So my partner is William Yu, Dr. William Yu, who is the CEO. Okay, just to clarify that point. But anyway, allow me just to briefly introduce myself. I was born in Myanmar, where I came to Hong Kong when I was 4 years old, and then I got my tertiary education in Canada. So I'm all along an environmentalist, even when I was in schooling. I'm a social reformer and conservationist, and also a green entrepreneur. So I've been conducting my business, green business, for over 40 years. So I have a different feeling and experience of how I pursue this green journey, life journey of mine. So it's good that I can share my views with you in the later minutes. So this is, I am in the green business for, as just mentioned, for many years, but I'm in the renewable energy, waste management, green buildings, and others. So my experience has let me come up with, enhancing the whole doctrine of going green. So that's why we established this Asia-Pacific Asian Green Deal with the help from the university. So this is about me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Albert. And now let's move on to the second panelist. Please introduce yourself, Professor Simon Ho.
Thank you. My name is Simon Ho. I just share some of my thinking earlier, so I don't have to talk long. So I always accounting and corporate governance professors. Talk at Chinese U for 27 years and some years in Hong Kong BU. Currently, I'm the president of the Hang Seng University of Hong Kong. So my research interest still on business ethics, corporate governance, and currently I work a lot on what we call a stakeholder model. I'm trying to classify a stakeholder based on their priority and what they can contribute to the corporation in return of the values we should be creating to them. So I think it's a very interesting kind of work I'm now doing with some colleagues, how to really seeing the different stakeholder can be handled in a different manner, depending what values they can contribute to the corporation and to other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Simon Ho. And Mr. Andy Chan, could you please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Alpha. Compared to Professor Simon, and also Albert, I'm just a very young and energetic entrepreneur, and also just an investment analyst for my family office, and also a lot of you maybe don't know the entrepreneur that terms means. It just means in a business, and you can keep trying to figure out some entrepreneurial products, services for those companies, those called entrepreneur. So actually in my family business, and I try to incubate and also do some new business inside the business. So that's called entrepreneur. So I graduate from PolyU and also go for the postgraduate in the UK in the Warwick University. So this is about my brief bio, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Think ESG Limited, which is the sustainability development arm of the Union Registrar. So we aim to provide the ESG consulting service and also for the listed companies mostly. So of course for the pre-IPO companies too. So to capture the growth opportunities, help the companies, and also from the global movement against the climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andy Chan. So I'll give the time to Mr. Jackson Jie. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackson C. I'm currently the Executive Director at Seapolar Technologies Asia Limited and the Senior Vice President at Seapolar Technologies. So Seapolar is a company that provides bioprotection solutions. We help clients create green and healthy environments using our patent-pending technology, Seapolar. So Seapolar is an antiviral and antimicrobial technology. So as the executive director of Seapolar Asia, I co-developed the global growth strategy with the executive team, and I lead our commercialization and marketing efforts in Asia. My background is actually in management consulting, but in nonprofit management consulting. So I used to work for the Bridgespan Group in New York, which is a Bain & Company incubated nonprofit consulting firm. So I've worked with clients ranging from the National Geographic Society to the YMCA, et cetera. My interest is actually in more of the S component of ESG. So I'm interested in how we interact with communities and people and how we are able to guarantee that they have healthy, safe, and infection-resilient environments to live in. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Now that we know our distinguished panelists, let's dive into the discussion. So I have prepared several of questions for each of you, focusing on the various aspects on Asia-Pacific Green Deal. Maybe we can start it with Mr. Albert Ong. Thank you. And so the first question is, considering the unique challenges and opportunities within the Asia-Pacific region, how do you envision the World Green Organizations actively contributing to the development and implementation of the Asia-Pacific Green Deal? And what kind of strategies or initiatives that will be crucial for achieving its goals? Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Maybe I'll give you a little bit background on the Asia-Pacific Green Deal. It was approved last year in 2022. Actually, when I was the chairman of the Green Economy Task Force, actually we proposed this policy framework to the UNESCAP. So it was approved last year and was introduced. So World Green Organization is one of the organizations who also conducted this report together. So actually we are involved from the very first beginning. So in fact, there are a lot of things that we think is right and to do so, because green is something which is universally agreed by everybody that's doing goodness with justice. This is already green. It's more than environmental friendly. So the Asia-Pacific Green Deal itself is somewhat different from the European Green Deal or other North American New Green Deal. Because we are based it on Asian values, where we respect life above any economic gains. So this is a major difference. So with that, as a context of the principles, then what we are trying to do is to find out the universal values, which is doing the right thing, but effectively by giving the integrated solution, kind of using a holistic approach to address the issue of economic issue, social issue, and environment issue. There are many terms that we have been using around the world nowadays. So just now, even our professor talking about the ESG, sustainability. Now we have this 17 SDG from the UN. All are good, actually, but because we are now undergoing a journey where we want to do goodness. So we are enhancing and to find out what is the right things to do. Is there a simple story that we can tell people around the world to understand what simple thing can we do just to do goodness? So Asia-Pacific Green Deal is based on this concept. We want to tell a good story. We want to tell people how you can do it easily when you enjoy it, making money, making happy money, but at the same time, doing a lot of meaningful things at the same time. So there's a lot of good things in what we are doing. So the concept of doing good is actually very simple. Either you do it right or you do it wrongly. So in the past, the concept is also lies on, truthfulness, where we want people to truly understand. By understanding what you are doing now, you will know where to go. So the direction. So, in layman terms, the Asia Pacific Green Deal, what we are trying to do is, through even for the World Green Organization, we try to do a lot of things. World Green Organization has been established for 12 years, but when we started it, we started with the ESG. So at that time, but how to do it, we don't know. We don't have a clue of having a comprehensive solution. So what we did was doing anything we see appropriate and good. So probably I can just simply point out 6 different points, simple points that I can share with you. What we did was doing the policy advocacy and collaboration work, knowledge sharing and capacity building, technology transfer innovation, financial support and investment, and public awareness and engagement. And the last one is monitoring and reporting. So we have been trying our very best to pursue all these objectives by working together with industry elites, industry champions, and also with the government. We have to work with all stakeholders. This is the only way that we can really shorten our time in pursuing it. So these are the things that we are continuing to pursue. So so far we thought like we are achieving something, but something is not enough. So we still have a long way to go.
All right, thank you, President Albert. Understand what you're doing actually is very important. Understanding how you're doing it gives you plan and ideas on how you're doing it during the journey. But understanding why gives you the motivation keeps you moving on during the journey. And thank you. And so my next question to Professor Simon Ho, it will be about the university education. Universities play a vital role in driving sustainability development. In the context of Asia Pacific Green Deal, how does Hang Seng University of Hong Kong envision its contribution in terms of research, education, or collaboration to promote green technologies or environmental awareness promotion among students or even the wider community? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, towards green society or a green age, I think university, like any other social institutions, we also have to play our part. We mainly divide our job into 3 dimensions. One is on teaching, on education. One's on research, including academic research and policy research. And the last is our services and public engagement, right? So I think on education, I think we still, I think Hang Seng University is probably among the most active in terms of promoting business ethics, sustainability, and ESG. Currently, we have over 40-some courses, subjects relating to these subjects, right? And also on research, we set up the ESG Research Center last year, doing a lot of ESG academic and policy research. And also we have a Youth Sustainability Leadership Institute, encouraging, empowering our students to find solutions to address the most pressing SDG issues in the world, right? So I think also we are running the Business Ethics Index measurement and enhance the Hong Kong annual Business Ethics Index every year to know where we are not doing well and where we can do further improvement. And also I think on sustainability, I think again, we're talking about the 3P. Hang Seng University is well known for its green environment. We are probably the most institution adopting bamboo material in our construction, in our indoor materials, furniture. Also, creating all kinds of measures to make sure we are towards a greener kind of campus environment. And the hardware environment always a tool for education. When you do things among our senior staff, among the campus design, also tell story to our students. What do we mean by green? How we can do things from small, from everyday habit, everyday behavior can change a lot about the world. So, and then lastly, I think we also, I presented the conceptual framework. I think I also present quite widely what do you mean by social contract, why a business corporation, even a university, have to follow a social contract, and how we see the different stakeholders, and how we create, sustainable value to our stakeholder, and at the same time make sure you don't do harms to any of the stakeholder. Now, these are all within a framework when we design our curriculum, our courses, and make sure every student have a clear mindset and not just maximizing certain return to a small group of stakeholders. I think it's all the way we are doing now at the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Simon. And ESG paves the paths and also the why they're doing it and how they're doing it, because I think it's very important for our next generation to understand what ESG is and the difference between sustainability, ESG, or corporate social responsibility. Thank you, Professor Simon. And my next question will be posed to Mr. Andy Chen. And with the growing focus on ESG factors in the corporate world, how do you see the future development of ESG services, especially for Asia-Pacific region, for the innovation of consultancy companies? Thank you.
Thanks for question, Alpha. I think the growing focus of ESG factor in the corporate world can be divided like two sectors, the two main factors, which is the investment side and also for the business world. And for the investment side, like Professor Simon said, for the negative screening to just wide to the philanthropy, actually is the very wide spectrum for ESG investing, including the impact investment and other than that. So the spectrum is very wide. And for the business side, like your questions mentioned that for the innovation or the consultancy firm, I think all of you guys can know that for bottom up, as you can see the introduction of the app, so actually from individuals, actually you can do the ESG practice. And for the consultancy firm, let's say the Big Four, actually they're doing some regulations and also for the professional service for listed community to also the SMEs. So you can see that the ESG services provider actually have a very wide spectrum. And actually the trend is very promising. So actually I've done some homework. So it's actually divided for several points that we need to consider about the consultancy, ESG consultancy service provider and also for the innovators. So for the first one, I think the increasing adoption of ESG practice from different industries, especially in Asia-Pacific region. For these 3 years, actually, Asian-Pacific region are recognizing the importance of the ESG consideration into their business consideration. So I think this trend is expected to drive the demand of the ESG services, including the consulting and also advisory and also the innovation support. And also for the second one, the regulators. Regulators support and the frameworks, as you can, all of you know that just a few months ago, the IFRS S2 and also the ISSB framework for the LISCO is actually a game changer. And then the LISCO actually just have 2 years interim period for them to adopt these regulations to collect all the scope 3 data. So actually it is very game-changing regulations. So regulators plays a very big role for the globally and also for the Asia-Pacific region. And then the third one, I think, is the investor pressure and also the market demand. And investor, including institutional investors and asset managers, and considering the ESG factors and when making the investment decision. So I think especially in Asia-Pacific region, they are under pressures to perform and also to disclose their ESG performance. So I think these 3 points can conclude that how the Asian-Pacific region can, and also in the consultancy firm and also for the innovation is very promising, I think, in the future, and also actually from the past 3 years, actually is uptrending. So overall, I think the future development of the ESG services is expected to be a good trend, and also is the increasing the emphasis on ESG factors, supportive regulatory frameworks, investor pressure, etc., for the ESG service provider to assist companies to integrate sustainability into their business strategies and driving the positive ESG outcome. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andy Chen. Yes, ESG indeed is a topic that is with a very wide spectrum, and any services related to ESG can be considered as an ESG expert or a consultancy. And recently, BDO held an internal Asia-Pacific conference as well, talking about the ESG services from different Asia-Pacific countries. And for example, I heard that from Indonesia, the government is saying they have to do the net zero by 2030. So I think before we get to understand the ESG situation for or services for different countries, we have to know what the mandatory regulations are in order to drive it, or what are the key drives or initiatives behind it for us to work for them. Thank you. And so it will be my last question here. It will be to Mr. Jackson there. And knowing that Seapolar Asia's work in creating a pandemic resilient environment by providing biotech solutions, could you please elaborate on some of the innovative technologies your company is developing so to tackle the challenges posed by pandemics while also promoting sustainability or green practices? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Alpha. Before I begin, I want to quickly talk about the relationship between the climate crisis and pandemic preparedness. And then I can go a little bit into the examples that you mentioned about what Seapolar is doing. So right now, there's overwhelming evidence that climate change is fueling pandemics and disease outbreaks. So elevated temperatures are fueling the rise in superbugs. We know for a fact that infectious diseases are being aggravated and exacerbated because of climate change. One study in Nature magazine actually said that climate change has the potential to aggravate disease outbreaks by 58% across 1,000 different pathways. So we're not even sure, basically, how climate change and its impact is going to affect pandemics. So the issue is not if the next pandemic will happen, but when it will happen, and also how we will prepare ourselves against it. So a little bit about Seapolar Asia. We work with organizations to create pandemic resilient and green environments. We use our technology, Seapolar, which can capture, inactivate, and eradicate up to 99.99% of pathogens. So our goal is basically to work with these clients and help them improve their ESG profile, their product safety profile, as well as their strategic edge. So we co-develop applications such as Seapolar masks, filters, hospital curtains, purifiers, etc. Let me quickly share with you, I guess, a bit about what we've been doing and what our work looks like in practice from an ESG perspective. So 3 points. One is we've been creating healthier and greener building spaces. We developed HVAC and purifier filters protected by Seapolar. These are antiviral, antimicrobial filters, and they're manufactured using recycled plastic. They also don't require significant installation or energy usage. So that means that facility managers can now optimize their air change rates, which means that you can basically have a reduced energy consumption when you use Seapolar solutions. So that's the E component of ESG. From a second point, we've been reducing disease transmission and biomedical wastage. Everyone here is in the climate space, and they've seen the photos of all the face masks being dumped in landfills and in oceans as well. I mean, that's a pretty stark reminder of our impact on the planet. So what we've done is we've developed Seapolar face masks, which retain strong effectiveness even after prolonged use. So what that means is that it shows our solution can reduce biomedical waste because you can reuse a mask multiple times while keeping users safe from cross-contamination and disease. So that addresses both the E component of ESG as well as the S component. The last thing we've been doing is we've been reducing energy usage with indoor buildings using IoT and AI-powered integrated devices. So we've been collaborating with organizations to basically develop these devices. They use smart control to optimize for clean air as well as for energy savings. So these are just a few of the strategies we've been adopting using our technology. We're actually really excited to continue on our ESG journey. And we hope to collaborate with members of the panel as well as the audience as well to push forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson C. Yeah, indeed, technology is one of the key parts in ESG right now. When we talk about ESG, I heard it from another department in BDO, in the AI and digital services team, and they can do a lot of fancy things that I didn't know for ESG, like automated downloading the ESG updated report from all the top listed companies with just the help of the AI, etc. There are a lot. And thank you all our esteemed panelists for sharing your expertise and insights for today. I would also like to express my gratitude to our audience for your participation. And I'm not sure if we should have a Q&A session or not, but maybe let's make it happen right now. All right, I think there's no question. And thank you for today. And let's continue working towards greener Asia Pacific. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insightful discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. Please be seated. Thank you once again, Alpha, Albert, Simon, Andy, and Jackson for your time. Thank you very much. Let's give them a big round of applause once again. It's very informative. And now, joining us on stage will be Mr. Kevin Ng, CEO, InnoBlock Technology. Mr. Ng has been an entrepreneurial executive with more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry, global sales experience, and specialized in blockchain, AI, ESG. Today, he will share with us his topic, ESG Digital Management Platform. Mr. Ng, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody. My name is Kevin, InnoBlock Technology CEO. So my company, right, originally more focused on the blockchain technology. And then in last year, we start the ESG journey, okay? So today I would like to share with you like the ESG digital platform. So the TT Green, right, is the platform we build to support ESG. So mainly, right, we have few major functions. First is a ESG carbon management. You know, how to help the corporate, right, to prepare the ESG report, like capture scope 1, scope 2, express scope 3 data. And also, right, I think in this couple of days, you heard a lot of ESG standard. GRI, TCFD, IFRS, all this, right? And also Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So our system, right, support all the international ESG reporting standard in a one single system. And also, right, we are the first platform to support green loan. We're working with a Bank of East Asia. So our customer, right, can apply the green loan on our platform based on their ESG data. So we are the first one in the region. And usually, right, the bank will not put their application on other people's platform, right? So also recognized by the Hong Kong MA. And also, right, we are work with Worldwide Nation Funding, WWF, together. They are our official partnership. So they are our advisor. And also, right, we're working with AWS US subsidiary team. So we build the global ESG carbon calculator, so to support all the ESG. So later I will talk a little bit more. But today, right, I would like to talk more on the carbon credit trade. Because Dr. William, you asked me, right, not many people understand or heard carbon credit. So they may heard the carbon credit, but actually for the trade, right, not many people have done, right? So InnoBlock is also one of the official trader from Core Climate last year, the first batch. I think yesterday for those here to heard the Ken Chu talk about, right, last year Hong Kong launched the carbon credit trade. So we are the first batch people for trade. So today I would like to share with you, right, what is the carbon credit. I want everybody, before you leave, right, you understand what is the carbon credit, okay? And then, right, how to, okay, the reason to trade the carbon credit, why you need to trade, why? And also, right, how to achieve the carbon neutrality. So, like you heard all this European new regulation. So a lot of people, right, when you do the business, go to Europe, right, you need to apply the carbon neutrality label. So we done few with our customer, I will share with you. And also, right, how to calculate your carbon emission on the digital platform. So So I will share with you all this. Now, the carbon credit introduction, right? So I think you see this, right? Today in the carbon credit, you can see, right, is a two. One is the compound carbon market. The other is voluntary. The compound, right, is Europe is a compound. China also. This morning you heard, right, China, the Shenzhen exchange and the Shanghai, they are compound. Compound means, right, it's by law, also Singapore. And then in Hong Kong, it's a voluntary market. So we are focused on the voluntary market. Now, to reduce the carbon emission, right, there's two approaches. You can see one on the top, right, we call ETS. The other one we call VER. So the ETS, right, is a by government, by regulator compound. So you have to reduce your carbon emission, okay? At the bottom, right, is a warranty. So some of the corporate, right, they are volunteer. Let's say in Hong Kong, the listed company express for property, right? They are volunteer, right, to reduce the carbon emission. A lot of company, large company, they are willing, okay? That's a voluntary. So you can see this too, okay? Now, people ask me why the carbon credit will go up. Does anyone know why the carbon credit will go up? On this diagram to show you. Because, right, the compound emission, right, is a force the corporate for carbon emission, reduce the carbon emission. So when this corporate need to buy the carbon credit, not enough, they will go to voluntary market to buy. So that's why the carbon credit go up. Okay. Now, I want to, does anyone do any trade for the carbon credit for the last year? Anyone buy any carbon credit? No. Okay. So in carbon credit, right, when we do the trade, right, we have two carbon credit. One is, you see, right, avoidance. The other one, right, is a removable. Do you know what's the avoidance meaning? The price will be big different. Avoidance mean, right, let's say Amazon, the forestry, right? We talk about the carbon emission, climate, right? We don't let them to cut the tree. So those people say, right, okay, you don't let me cut the tree, so you have to support me. So we call those avoidance. Avoidance, right, the price will not more than $10. Now, last year, avoidance, the price is around 4 to 10, right? You know how much for this year? This year dropped at least 50%, only down to $3 to $7. Okay, that's the reason why I told you later. And also, right, on the avoidance, right, you can see, right, forestry is the number one, higher price. Most people, they want. And then you can see wind, solar power, and hydropower. You know which one the people, they don't like now? Hydropower is no longer will be certified for the carbon credit. Because environmental people, right, they think, right, the hydropower destroy the environmental more than to save. So now, right, for the coming year, you don't see any new carbon credit coming from hydropower, okay? So that's why the hydropower, the carbon credit dropped significantly this year because, right, most of the corporate, they don't accept it. Okay, on the right-hand side, the removable, right, the forestry, and this from 10 to 30, the price still go up, not dropping, because removable is something, right, people plant the tree, they do something where I don't build a building, I protect the environment. So that's why we call removable or new technology. Those, the carbon credit will be higher. Now, last week, and for the last 6 months, most of the company come to me, right, Kevin, I have the project, I can generate the carbon credit, help me. And then I asked them, where's your project? They all said, Hong Kong. My answer is say no. You know why? We all live in Hong Kong, right? Do you know how many trees Hong Kong has? Dispute backwing, okay? Maybe we had less, right? If you check, right, Hong Kong close to 300,000 trees. Still not enough to generate the carbon credit. You know why? Now, in general, right, so when you go for formal process, right, different tree will count different carbon calculation, carbon credit, right? So let's say in average, 6 trees generate 1 ton carbon credit. So you calculate, right? Hong Kong less than 300,000 trees. So how many carbon credit can generate, less than 40,000 tons. And also, when you talk about carbon credit, right, the rule, right, all the tree must be in one area. So you see, right, for the whole Hong Kong, Kowloon, New Territory, add together, right, the tree is still not enough. 40,000 ton carbon credit is not a lot. Because, right, if you had a project, you want to generate carbon credit, right, you know the initial cost? At least 250,000 US dollar. The cost from consultant, from the auditor, it costs 250,000 at least. So that's why in Hong Kong it's quite difficult, almost impossible to generate the carbon credit. So I hope everybody understand now, right? When you have a project in Hong Kong, you want to generate carbon credit for sale, which is impossible. Now, I think yesterday, right, we all know, right, the carbon credit have a lot of standard. Okay, and today we heard, right, China have CCUS, and then RORA and gold standard. Now, CCUS only for China, okay? Besides China, no one recognized. So you remember, right, carbon, why you have carbon credit? Must be supported by the country and the compliant. If the country and compliant not support, right, the carbon credit is no use. So China CCUS only apply for China, okay? And outside China is a major carbon credit, right, is a RORA, represents 70 to 7%. The second one is gold standard, around 10 to 15. So these two standards, right, represent 90% of the carbon credit. And then also, right, is 100% supported by global carbon exchange. So today, globally have 38 carbon exchange. So in Asia, right, we have Hong Kong, called CARMEC, we have Singapore, we have Thailand, we have Malaysia, and also Australia. But Australia only for themselves, because they don't have enough carbon credit for them to offset. And then coming next year, right? And then Japan, Korea, and India, they're coming. So more and more countries, right, will start the carbon credit trade. So what we do, right, help our customer, we only do the RORA and gold standard. We don't do the China because European, Latin America, they only accept RORA and gold standard. CCUS, besides China, no country supported. So that's why the carbon credit trade, we are outside China, we are only focused RORA and gold standard. If for China only, then you have to do the CCUS. So that's why. Now, from now to 2028, right, we expect that every year more than 30% carbon credit trade growth. So yesterday I downloaded the RORA, the retirement report. For the last 2 years, more than 630 million tons the carbon credit retired just for RORA for the last 2 years. Okay. Now, I think you heard a lot of people talk about Paris Agreement 2030. Okay. So if we really need to meet the 2030 the target, okay, 1.5 degree, we need 35 gigaton the carbon credit, which is not enough. So every year, the carbon credit, right, is less than 1,000 million tons. Okay, so it's around 800 million. So by 2030, it's impossible to generate 35 gigaton to achieve net zero. So that's why we all foresee, right, for the coming year, the carbon credit will go up. Okay, so I have the customer, they purchase a carbon credit now, used for next year. Okay, and Asia, right, is a second large for the carbon credit offset. Now, although China have their CCUS, this one you heard, right, from the Shenzhen and Shanghai, but China also is the bigger purchase the carbon credit for RORA. The reason why? Because, right, the European had the requirement, okay, for net zero. So if you want to sell your product, right, go to Europe, right, you must be carbon neutrality. Okay. Now, so what we see today, right, is the warranty market is not active, okay, because it's not legally required by the government, and China also. But what we see, right, for the few years, the carbon credit must go up regarding the price and the demand, because, right, the regulation and the law. Now, the reason for the carbon credit trade, right, is mainly had two major reasons. Okay, is avoid the carbon tax and also C-band, the requirement. Because, right, and also for the neutrality label. So those international around 5 carbon neutrality cable is well recognized. So when you get the carbon neutrality label, you put on your product, you can sell globally, okay? And each label has different requirement. All those, right, they all follow the PAS 2060, but every company has different requirement. BSI is the one, right, to vote the ISO PAS 2060, but although they follow, right, every company, they have different requirement. Now, for the carbon test, right, you can see, right, because the carbon test, the company need to purchase the carbon credit. Most mainly in the Europe. So that's why in Europe, the market bigger than Asia. But in coming year, like Singapore started carbon test this year, but you know what? The government very relaxed, right? Only 20 companies this year need to purchase carbon credit. And next year will be increased 10% and more, okay? So this is the reason why, right, the company need to purchase the carbon credit, okay? Now, and also the C-band, right? I think most of you didn't heard that, right? The C-band also have requirement, what carbon credit you can buy, what industry you cannot use the carbon credit for carbon neutrality, okay? And then if you are doing the iron, cement, all this, right, you are not allowed to use carbon credit, right, to offset, okay? Now, this is the most popular carbon neutral label, but, right, very different. Amazon is the one very tough. If the customer want to purchase a carbon credit, right, for neutrality, the carbon credit must be 4 years old, less than 4 years old, must be forestry, no China, okay, worldwide only. TUV, not allowed for hydropower. Original who decided carbon neutrality label, BAS, only world, they are okay. So when our customer purchase a carbon credit, right, all this, right, information is not on internet. So when we do it, all this neutrality label company, they tell us what they need, and then we tell our customer, when you purchase carbon, you must follow the rule, okay? Now, so how to achieve the carbon neutrality, right? So this is the step, okay? You must calculate your carbon emission. So my platform, TD Green, right, when we design, we support, right, all the global standard ESG, okay? So you will first calculate your carbon emission, and then you go for certify, and then when they certify your scope 1 and 2, the carbon emission, you purchase equal amount of carbon credit for offset. Then you get your label. Now, this is almost my last slide, right? When you prepare your ESG report, it's very difficult, okay? So for step 1, right, for the ESG reporting, yesterday GLI, right, we talk about, right, the GLI reporting, but in China, only 3 companies get licensed by GLI. So we are one of them, and then we are the only one support Chinese. So I had a customer say, right, hey, Kevin, I use one of the tools in China. Their calculation is wrong. I say, do they get licensed or certified by other people? That's very important. And second, right, when you talk about, right, you have to create your own carbon emission, your boundary, okay? It's not easy. We support more than 500 regions globally to help a customer. And then collect the data. So we try to help the customer, right? Our system, right, help the customer collect the data automatically, okay? Expression scope 3, okay? Most people complain. Now, the number 4, right, globally have more than 20 standard, right? We support all, okay? Because, right, when the customer say the carbon emission is incorrect, that means it's not that incorrect. Most of the people, they will not build the global library, okay? We have more than 50,000 data in our system. We build global. If they don't have global, what they do, right? If they don't have the carbon emission data you want, they just use the global data. So for us, it's different because we build the global, and then we support by WF and the AWS and Deloitte also. So our database today, we're able to support all the carbon emission data calculation, okay? And then, right, the reporting, the system will be automatically generated report for you, because we licensed by GOI, we also certified by Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Okay, so 100% compliant. So for all the Hong Kong list code in Hong Kong, you use my platform, you press a button, and then your report generate automatically. Of course, you want a fancy, you modify, put some picture, but other than that, you can submit to Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they accept it. Okay, reviewed by them. Okay, we support GOI, also TCFD, and next year, right, IFRS, we also supported Q1 2004. And then lastly, right, is you also need to auditing, your reporting, right? We're also working with different auditor, okay? So where to trade, right? So now, I think yesterday, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange call Carrick, right, said, right, they have 50 projects. But we have more than that. We have more than 300. So we, besides Hong Kong, we also did Singapore CIX, the Offer Trader, and also UK CTX. So in our TT Green platform, we have the carbon credit trade. We have more than 300 projects to support it. So for the customer, they can choose. Now, given the time, not much, right? The carbon credit today, you try to go to internet. No information on the internet. You cannot search because the information is not transparent. So you cannot find any carbon credit project information. So my platform able to support all. So you can see all the project, right? So given the time, right, they want me to speed up, right? So if you want to know more information, you can contact us, especially on the platform, how TT Green able to support you, your ESG journey. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. Having heard about different topics about ESG, let's hear more ideas about the arrival of ESG new ecosystem. Joining us next will be our two speakers, Mr. Peter Yip, President of Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute, and Mr. Man Wu, Vice President of Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute. Mr. Peter Yip established the Greater Bay Area Economic and Trade Institute to develop high-level talents to cope with the GBA Future Development 5 years ago. This year, with the mission to promote sustainable integration of Earth and people, Mr. Yip set up the Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute. And Mr. Man Wu started his career in interior design and then established himself as a creative upcycling interior design focusing on ESG, offering alternative solutions across all offices and residents in Hong Kong to reduce waste. His innovative, IT-driven interior design solutions has set himself apart as market leader in creating an alternative resource matching platform. Going forward, Mr. Wu will extend his services to the Greater Bay Area. Now, may I first invite Mr. Peter Yip to the stage, and they will speak on the topic ESG New Ecosystem Arrival. Thank you, Mr. Peter Yip.
Thank you. Dr. William Yu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute, I'm honored to be here to share with you the new ESG ecosystem arrival. With these 2 days sharing, I'm very confident we have different resources. We have different, global experts on ESG, on sustainability. That's why I anticipate an ecosystem, a new ecosystem on ESG and sustainability has already arrived. Some of you might be the first time I meet with you. Let me share about my career. I worked in banking, 20 years. The last 10 years with Chase Manhattan JP Morgan, looking after 12 countries in talent development. And the last 20 years, I developed, business leaders in Asia Pacific. And of course, to do business, to excel their performance. Because of, this diversity, in over 10 countries, I learned a lot about individual differences, about cultures. That's why It's full of challenge in my career. At the same time, it's with fun. Thanks, for Dr. William Yu and the co-founder, Albert. We met about 10 years ago. That's how, I learned about ESG. At the same time, we have a small team to offer ESG reporting, some of the solutions for listed company. And I'm also fortunate, 5 years ago, I went to the United Nations because at that time, we have the common mission to share a future about ESG, about sustainability. At that time, we are talking about micro companies, SMEs, not only listed company. Because in the past, we know Hong Kong, starting from non-mandatory ESG, sustainability report, up to mandatory. I think it's the right timing to spread this, future to the micro and also SMEs. 5 years ago, I set up Greater Bay Area Trade and Economic Institute to encourage more entrepreneurs in Hong Kong to do business in the Greater Bay Area. Now is the time to build ESG in the blood for all the entrepreneurs, no matter listed company or SME. In the last 2-3 years, we recognize our earth is on fire. Because of the pandemic, people change habits. We buy takeaways more often than before. At the same time, we see more waste, more rubbish. This is our world for our kids. And also this year, we recognize all these disasters, whether in New York, in Hong Kong, in our subway. And at the same time, we see more and more all this flooding, rubbish at the same time. And because of the pandemic, we see more waste about that kind of physical resources. Although with all this, we see new opportunity to bring back a good earth. So for this war, people really recognize food is important. And at the same time, I feel a little bit about sorry because of physical resources. We lost a lot. The question comes to us, do we still love our earth? The answer, of course, absolutely yes. But how to do? This year, I met with a gentleman who is now my partner on the Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute, Man Wu, who has been executing some of the, his good work on ESG, on sustainability. With this, can I invite my good partner, Man Wu, to come and share with you?
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Man Wu, so how I doing my ESG? Basically, with my hand. I use my hand to move something, do it myself, start from ourselves. I was studying in London in 2002, but first of all, when everyone go to the foreign country study, which part you think is most important? And the answer? Save money. Because our parents spend so much money for us to go foreign to save money. So I'm how to save money? Save time. Save space. When I'm in 2002, I brought my first digital camera. If someone studying design, you need to take photo. At the past, you use all traditional film to project so many picture, but digital camera is save so many money. So on the other hand, I go to the flea market to buy something. And the background is the notice board. Does anyone know why I use the notice boards? Because when I am in my hall, many classmates will go to the hall and the corridor. There is a notice board here. Every student will look the notice board and eject so some move out. There are some recycled computer, stationery, also your desk and the chair. So what's going on next when I come back to Hong Kong? I'm also working with Debenham Tyner, different kinds of design company, architect firm. I find there's so many ways: furniture, equipment, renovation, building, and technical material. So you see, this is the office, 3 floor, 1,600 square feet. But the most important is all furniture is made from Germany. It's very expensive. In my practice, there are more 200 electronic adjustable table made in Germany, but I save half of them to resell it, donation for some SME company. So, on the other hand, what's going on? During the COVID-19, they also had a lighting shop they closed in Yomadi, very close to Wong Kok. I helped the client to sell the existing lighting, the pop-up. You see, there's so many people, my friend, my SME project, they go to the pick-up, the light, do it yourself. You see, I'm also dismantle all the lighting. But the most important is the small light is $15. The last one is 100. So every people queue up in the Nathan Row to come in to buy it. My friend, Stanley, he's doing the international logistics company. There are one company in British, more than 100 years experience. They terminate Hong Kong business. Their problem, the whole container, including the furniture, computer. So they asked me, man, how to fix this? Because transfer this container to UK is near 220,000 US dollar. So I'm very sad because all material need to go to the landfill. But I have a buddy, the photographer. He installed a can for me, which a CPA. They expand their office from 3 staff to 10. So you see the left-hand side, the whole project, the whole office is used to recycle equipment, furniture. For example, your chair, your table, even the partition, PC, software, even coffee machine, projector, and TV. So, finally, he saved half of money in this project. I'm very thankful to the Hong Kong government and Hong Kong PC. Doing the DBs, I know how to get up the VR technology. So I'm using VR technology to capture the whole office, how to show to the corporate or SME, even if it's not in Hong Kong, you can see everything, or you want to buy it online. If you find something you like it, you can come up to the site and pick it up. This is also the other shop. Unfortunately, this stopped only doing the business 1 year and closed in Prince Edward. I also use the technology. Anyone go to there, you can see the tap. How much is it? There one person have so many shops, they buy all the freezers. On the other hand, you come to the kitchen. This is very interesting because the NGO want to set up their restaurant. They come inside it to see, it's very good, the kitchen equipment. So finally, he used $30,000 to buy all the equipment to help him save maybe 70% money. Finally, this project is about complete last month. 5,000 square feet office. All the furniture, equipment, PC, notebook is used to recycle. But this is very important thing is you see around the shop, the photo is collect from 3 corporate office. They move out, I collect their equipment, office, and help them design it in the whole office. This is the difficult project. Have everyone been there? Anyone knows where's this? This Hong Kong crucial terminal. My client is also my friend. They land this area, but the investor give up. So, in my professional, I will tell them which cabinet you can reuse, which cabinet you can sell it. Officially, finally, what's going on? We clean it up, and the NGO want to doing the COVID-19 can't find the area. We sponsor them for the drawing competition. Also, we use the lighting box because the lighting box, this wall, want to demolish. But finally, we found don't want to buy more stand for the graphic, for the painting. But finally, we use the existing site, the environment, to use it. Forget to tell you, all the material, projector, chair, is also recycled. Finally, the left-hand side and the right-hand side, which environment you want to live. Sorry, I'm talking not about us. It's next generation. This is my vision. I'm glad to share to you. We need to enroll more people, more company, more SME to focus on recycle, reuse, upcycling. This is very important to me. It's time to action any corporate SME. We need your database because we have more than 60,000 SME database. So now I'm asking more corporate, more information, more resources. We can share to more SME for the planet resources will last long time, not for ours, for next generation and next generation. Thank you. The following, Peter will bring the how do the system, the ecosystem will help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. I think it's great. I have a great partner to start with, and that's how we are now creating ESG new ecosystem with working together and also hand in hand with all resources run with us, including we are glad to work more with WGO, with university, with what we call listed company and also SME startups. So this is an ecosystem, just the beginning. We want more new idea, new resources, and especially in these 2 days, I met with some experts We already agree, share the same vision for the better future. So we try to integrate planet with the people. And with this, I'm fortunate to start the Greater Bay Area Sustainability Initiative. And up to now, just, in 2-3 weeks' time, we have more than 10, men and women working together to become our first Greater Bay Area ESG SDG ambassador. And they're all here. And it's my really an honor to invite them to come together to have a photo taking because they are the first batch. They see a better future for ESG. And for this section, can I have the honor to invite Dr. William Yu to have the photo taking together with us?
Yes, please. May I invite Dr. William Yu, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, World Green Organization, WGO, once again, and join us on stage for this group photo. And also, Mr. Wu, may I invite you on stage as well. And the ambassadors of Greater Bay Area Sustainability Institute, please come on up on stage. And I'd like to take this opportunity, this wonderful moment, to take this group photo together. And also like to take this opportunity to once again thank all our sponsors for helping us, for supporting us. And also we do have some supporting organizations actually helping us all along so that our conference, or 2-day conference, has been a success. A little bit to your right. And I can see we have some ladies at the back, maybe have to stand straight a little bit. Okay, make sure you can see the camera. 大家睇住個鏡頭啊，望到就會影到你啦。Okay, thumbs up. Wonderful, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's next? We must together join hand in hand. Can everybody, in the floor, go next to your neighbor, join hand in hand for ESG, for sustainability.
Really great gesture. We must work together to be successful.
Thanks a lot. Working together, we change the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And now I'd like to invite Dr. William Yu. Please remain on stage for his closing remark.
So I'm really grateful for you to stay until now, to the end of the 2 days conference, which I hope you enjoy very much, especially with all these high quality speakers, panelists, and especially those from overseas to speak online to us about the latest trend of ESG, as well as, the practical solutions for climate actions. So really, really grateful to our sponsors as well to make it possible to have this 2-day conference. So we have a new plan for this conference. Hopefully we can have the 5th conference on ESG for climate action next year. And we will have a new venue to organize this big event, maybe doubling the scale, and also with even more speakers and panelists. So I heard some feedback, from different participants. They really enjoy the content. And also with all these, renowned top-notch experts, to share with us about their practical experience. And I hope to see you next year. And still very thankful to all our conference partners, UNESCO, United Nations, Cyberport, Financial Service Development Council, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and IFRS Foundation, ISSB. So I hope to bring more international standard to Hong Kong next year. Hopefully they can come physically, most of them. And that allows more interaction during the event or after the event. So I would also want to thank all the helpers, all our colleagues, all the staff here. They got up so early in the morning, to get the venue. Yes, let's give him a round of applause. So to get prepared, for the venue. And okay, please stay in touch. We will send you email to get your feedback and also comments on this conference so that we can make further improvement. Okay, have a good evening. So we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yu. So once again, thank you for our audiences at the venue right here and also our online viewers from Yahoo and from Wong. Thank you very much for joining us at this ESG for Climate Action's International Conference 2023. And on behalf of our organizers, we would like to thank all our speakers for their valuable insights and perspectives today and yesterday. Also to all our participants for making time to join us. Thank you so much for helping us. We sincerely hope that the conference has brought you new ideas and takeaways. We have arranged shuttle bus, and please leave right there at the door, and we do have a sign and show you what time the shuttle bus is going to depart. Our staff will guide you there as well. So have a great evening. Hopefully we'll see you next year again. Thank you.